A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Is anybody?
There she is. That's Molly Goldberg, folks. A woman with a place in every heart and a finger in every pie. And now the makers of New Does. That new kind of soap for everything right down your wash line bring you another visit with those good folks, the Goldbergs.
Miss Powell, I's mad.
Why, Mandy.
You know, that young upstart Lulabelle is doing the wash for the Andersons next door.
Well, what's wrong with that?
Well, I's mad because her washes look so clean and nice.
What?
You see, Lulabelle uses Does.
What's Does?
Why, it's a new kind of granulated soap that Procter & Gamble's making. Well, this does everything in the wash. Work shirts, towels, rayons, everything.
What? One soap doing all three kinds of wash? Why, that's ridiculous.
Well, does it? Why, take them work shirts to Mr. Anderson. He gets some powerful greasy.
Yes, I know. He works at that war factory now.
Yeah, but with Does, there's no hard scrubbing at all. I declare I never seen no soap get clothes clean easier than Does.
Well, that's fine. But what about her white pieces?
I hate to say it, ma'am, but I've never seen a whiter wash than this Does. The towels are just sparkling. Even the ones that Mr. Anderson wipes his greasy hands on.
Well, it seems to me our towels get plenty dirty, too.
Well, that's why Whiskey's Does, too. Honestly, I can't stand Lulabelle being so uppity about the white washes she gets with Does.
But, Mandy, did you say she uses this same Does for rayons and nicer colored washables, too? You know, those colors need extra care in wartime, so they'll last longer.
I knows that, ma'am. But Lulabelle says the sew man done told her Does is a lot safer for them nice colors. Safer than any of the 4 other big selling granulated soaps. I tell you, ma'am, this Lulabelle is ruining my reputation.
Don't worry, Mandy. If Does all that, we'll use it for our wash, too.
Yes, millions of women are changing to new Does. You see, Does is not just an improvement of an old soap. It's a new soap discovery. So try Does, D-U-Z, because even in the toughest wartime wash, Does does everything. And now the Goldbergs. It's train time at the big station in New York. And under the vast roof, lighted by vast windows, the pygmy crowds are milling about. It wouldn't be easy to find anyone in the midst of all the hurrying people, but that's why Molly Goldberg is here. If you look hard, you can see her, alone in a sea of people. And her anxious glances, her searching eyes tell us that something is up. All the goodbyes were said in Glastonbury, and Sammy left with his group for New York and the Army. But here is Molly standing in this well of people 100 miles from home, and all alone. Listen.
Excuse me, I don't know if I'm in the right place.
This is the Pennsylvania station.
I know the
information booth's over there.
The information I know, but there's so many people. I don't want to miss my son. He's going away today.
Oh, well, don't you know the train is leaving on?
No, I don't know. I wasn't supposed to be here even. It was decided not to come to the station. You see, madam, we all made up knots.
Oh.
We said goodbye last night, but I only wanted to take a little peekaboo. If Mr. Goldberg, that's my husband, Mr. Goldberg, if he knew I came... When he went to the mill, I took a bus. I'll be home before he comes back. I shouldn't only miss my son.
Oh, why don't you ask the Red Cap? He'll know where the boys are leaving from.
Who should I ask?
The Red Cap. Oh, wait a minute now. Red Cap.
Red cap right here. Red cap right here.
Red cap. Can you tell me where the boys are leaving from? What track?
Well, there's a sign right over there, madam. You see it?
Oh. Thank you very much.
Baggage?
Very
Thanks,
much.
lady. Baggage, sir. How about giving you a lift, sir? Baggage?
Red cap?
Baggage, sir. Can I help you, sir?
Can you tell me where the boys are leaving from?
Do you see that sign there, sir?
Yes. Where can I stand to peekaboo? I don't want my son to see me. I wasn't supposed to be here.
Well, sir, this is a pretty big place. You'll find some place to hide. Baggage?
Thank you.
Baggage, ladies. All right, sir. Get a red cap here. Carry your bag, sir.
Red Captain.
Yes, sir?
Red Captain.
Yes.
What train does Sammy Goldberg leave on?
Sammy Goldberg?
Yeah.
I never heard of him. But the boys is leaving on that track over there, if you're talking about the soldier boys.
Yes, the soldier boys.
Bag, sir? You want a red cap, sir? Bag, sir? Here's your red cap, madam. I'll carry your bag. Red cap, sir.
Lady, please.
Can't we make sure?
If we stand here, we can't miss them.
Does it cost anything if I ask them? Or can't we make sure?
You went to the information desk 4 times, and 4 times they told you here. The boys leave from here, so it's here.
Maybe it's there.
But he said here.
Red cap.
I'm walking away from you.
A walk. Red cap.
Here's the sign. Why do you have to ask questions?
Where's the sign?
Right there.
Oh.
Don't sit there. It's reserved for the USO.
Seymour, don't make me nervous. I'm nervous already.
You never liked Sammy. What's the matter all of a sudden you're so nervous?
Who said I never liked Sammy?
Don't be such a hero worshiper. Just because he's going into the army.
Yes. Don't you think that's a good reason? Maybe I'd learn to love you, too, if you went into the army.
You don't have to throw my limitations into my face. I'm a 4F. Can I help it?
Oh, for pity's sake. Is that Mrs. Goldberg?
How could she be here? She wasn't supposed to come.
Oh, for pity's sake, Mr. Goldberg.
Where? He's not with Mrs. Goldberg?
Over there.
Where?
Not together.
I asked him if he was coming, and he said no.
Oh, for pity's sake.
Who else?
Uncle David. They didn't want us to come. That's why they said, call her. She doesn't see us.
Mrs. Goldberg. You call Mr. Goldberg.
Mr. Goldberg. Mr. Goldberg.
Jane?
Molly, you wasn't coming.
Yeah, you said
Yeah.
Hello, Uncle David.
Yes.
I'm here, yeah.
Didn't I especially ask you not to come? So you're here.
So we're here.
We took the early bus.
Do you think we're standing in the right place?
Just where you are.
Why, gracious.
Gracious what?
Oh, gracious. Who told Mrs. Mendel's family was leaving? Gracious, Mrs. Mendel. Seymour, darling, the lady with the ribbon in her hair, she don't see me.
Oh.
Darling, Mrs. Mendel, I see you.
I didn't want Molly to be here, David.
So she's here.
So she's here.
Who told you Sammy was going, Mrs. Mendel?
Mrs. Harkaway.
Oh, my.
Oh, Sammy, a soldier. I can't believe it. Hello, Uncle David.
Hello, Mrs. Mendel.
I'm Brady Schlitzer.
This is my friend Buddy Schlitzel, and this is my friend Sammy Fingerhood. Seymour.
I'm very pleased to meet you.
Are we standing in the right place, do you think?
Yeah.
2 wars in our lifetime, Mrs. Goldberg. Who thought it would come again?
Are we standing in the right place, Jake?
Yeah.
Of course we are.
2 wars in one lifetime.
Who suffers? The woman.
A man has a picnic, I suppose.
Hitler.
The last war, I was a bride.
We were standing in the right place, Jake?
Yeah.
We are.
It wasn't so easy for a young bride.
Hitler.
Jake, if we're not standing in the right place...
Yeah.
We are.
My Joe was somewhere in France when my Bernice was born.
What time is it, Jake?
There is time.
It's time.
Fine. Who remembers the first armistice? Oh, everybody went crazy in the street.
We should only go crazy again.
We will.
Hitler. And Mussolini?
And Hirohito, he's an angel.
And Goebbels.
And Goering and Himmler.
Bisley?
And Schleicher and Von Bock and Rommel and Tolstoy and all of that. I think they're here. Oh, yes.
And we're in the right place?
Molly, please.
I don't see Sammy.
Stay where you are. You can see them fine from here.
Oh, Jake.
That's why I wanted you to stay home.
Are you sure Sammy's leaving sometime today?
Please, Mrs. Mendel. I'll look on the left and you look at the right. Look left and right.
I'll look over here. I'll look over here.
I'm looking here.
Maybe we're in the wrong place.
I see him.
There.
No, That looks like Sammy.
I don't see Sammy. Or maybe he passed already.
But that's Sammy.
There.
Ma, I thought you said you...
We came.
Oh, gee. Pa. Goodbye, Pa.
Goodbye, son.
Goodbye, Uncle David.
Goodbye, Sammy.
Goodbye.
I wish they'd reclassify me, Sammy.
Goodbye, Seymour. I want to talk to you, Ma.
Yes, Sammy. Excuse me.
Excuse us, please. Ma.
Your tie, Sammy. Why is it crooked?
You're right, Ma. I don't care if you don't know how to spell. You write. Don't let anybody write for you.
No, darling.
And you're going to be a good girl?
Yes.
Okay. Goodbye, Ma.
Bye, Sammy.
Sammy.
Yeah, I'm coming.
Sammy, I think you have to go.
I'm going. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye. Bye.
Goodbye, Mom.
Bye. Bye. Goodbye.
Molly, come, Mom.
I'll wait here. Don't cry, madam. Your son? My son, too. There's no time for crying. Today we have to stand like rocks in the sea. We all have to face the same way until our bodies become a wall that'll lock the fascists in their holes. Our sons go to the front. Our husbands and our daughters make guns and tanks and bullets. And we must dry our eyes and stand like mountains. When they're tired and weary, we must be their strength. And when they're hurt, we must be their help. And when the dark days come, and dark days will come, we must be their light. And in the end, madam, in victory, we'll have time to cry. Plenty time. We mothers should make a promise. We should swear to each other not to cry. Not to cry till the war is won. Because unless we win, there won't be enough tears in the whole world to sweeten the bitterness of our defeat, madam. There's no time for tears. There's no time for tears now.
And so the gates close, and the young men leave, and the others turn back to the work, united in love and hope. And with Molly, we say and we know, we will be united in victory also. The Goldbergs go back home. Life goes on, and living must settle the problems that living people create. This is Clayton Collier wishing you good day for Procter & Gamble, makers of Does.
This is Walter O'Keefe inviting you to listen in on the Nightline. Tonight, live the incredible life of ages yet to come in a time that might be 1,000,000 years from now on X-1. Now, an incredible story of the world beyond.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, Adventures in which you'll live in a million, could be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents
X minus one.
Tonight, Inside Story by Richard Wilson. But first, hear this. I know a couple old friends that argue about everything. Politics, world affairs, even the time of day. One thing they agree on, though, is Pabst Blue Ribbon Draft Beer. They say it's the best. And for a change, they're both right. Pabst Blue Ribbon Draft is a bright, modern-tasting beer that still has plenty of that old-fashioned beer flavor. Next time you see that sign that says, Pabst Blue Ribbon Beer on draft, stop in. Order a glass. You'll soon know why so many folks agree on the bright, modern taste of Pabst Blue Ribbon Beer of Milwaukee. Now, X-1 and Inside Story.
Every wire service man knows that when the legislature shuts down for the hot weather, when it gets too warm for crimes of passion, that's the start of the silly season. It's the time when the teletype chatters about the largest pumpkin grown in Sauk County and the dog that found its way home from Luna Base to the Cocoa Island rocket port. Well, it was the silly season when I reported to headquarters Martian sector of the Galactic News Service at IOPA. I found the bureau chief, Scott Warren, looking sourly at a strip of copy.
GNS Sonala add lizards.
Lizards?
Lizards.
Mm.
New light on the longevity span of the Martian sand lizard was shed today by the Sonala Zoological Society. Now, that is what I call hot news. Flash copy.
Dull day?
Following a dull night. Was it like this in New York when you left?
They had me covering a kitten in a tree in Gramercy Park.
I would sell my soul for a nice, juicy cabinet crisis. Or else a little honest graft on a spaceport contract.
Well, have you got any leads?
No. The Garrison Administration of Martian Colonial Affairs is depressingly honest.
When nothing's doing, you can stir it up a little. You know, rattle the local skeleton in the closet. Fan the fires a little.
Have you read the Publications Responsibility Act of 1997? You can get 20 years for what you were thinking.
Look, what's the local canker sore? What would you like most to get an inside story on? Something everybody covers up.
Well, there's Druro. Oh, but that's Simon Pure.
What's Druro?
Nully Sanctuary.
Oh, religious institution?
No. It's a quarantine set up for null-gravity neurocatinosis. Nully fever. It's completely segregated. Nobody's ever gotten a report out of there.
Well, it sounds like a natural.
Look, George, you're new. You don't fool around with Nully fever here on Mars. Be like lighting a cigarette in a powder magazine.
Chief, how would you like an inside story out of Druro?
You can't get in.
I will give 8 to 5. Now, look, who's in charge?
The Ministry of Health, but you can't...
Okay. Don't let the sand lizard take up all the space. I will get in. It wasn't so easy. I did fine over at the Health Ministry until I mentioned Druro. And then I might just as well have had a galloping case of Nully fever myself. I was referred to the press officer, to the assistant administrator, to the legal department, the protocol division, and then back to the press officer. Finally, I got in to see the commissioner, Dr. Marks.
Just what caused you to raise the question of Druro, Mr. Gordon?
Look, Dr. Marks, what I want is your permission to visit Druro and get the inside story.
Visit Druro? You mean inside the camp?
Yes, that's right.
Mr. Gordon, I am quoting Administrative Code, Section 65. Any person found within the perimeter at Druro is considered to be a Nully fever victim. Contagion is something like 99% certain at a range of 100 yards.
What's the treatment?
Druro.
You mean they're just shoved there to rot?
A Nully, Mr. Gordon, will rot wherever he is. He deteriorates to the point of total sterility. Take my advice. Forget it.
Naturally, I didn't forget it. I did more research. I found out that Nully fever seemed to be a mutated virus that got that way in the early Earth-Mars rockets that had inadequate radiological shielding. The symptoms masqueraded as half a dozen diseases, but the end product was the same. A physical deterioration that I don't care to go into. And a psychological lowering to an animal state.
You're listening to Inside Story, tonight's attraction on X-1. Now, back to X-1 and Inside Story.
I may be a little reckless following a story, but believe me, there isn't a bonus big enough to make a hero out of me. I had no intention of contracting Nully fever just to provide a byline story for old GNS. I had stumbled onto something, and I was wearing it when I dropped into the bureau and asked Scott if he noticed anything different about me.
You're putting on a little weight?
No. Guess again.
Your pants aren't hanging right. Your shirt's all bunched up.
That's because I am wearing the latest fashion, an invisible suit.
Oh, goodbye. Try another one.
Look, I'm not kidding. It's heat-proof and airtight. They developed it over at Mars Electronics for spacesuit use.
You mean you're all buttoned up? Well, how do I hear you?
Short wave from a miniaturized dental mic. It's hanging on a front tooth, see?
You're not kidding. Well, how come it's invisible?
It beats me. Something to do with a non-refractive coating. You need that for dark side work on airless satellites. I got an experimental model from a PRO at ME.
What's it good for?
Outside of spaceship work, not much, except it is my ticket to Druro.
Now, wait a minute.
Don't you get it, Chief? I can't be infected, not with this suit on. It's absolutely airtight. Don't worry, I'll be safe. Wrapped in plastifilm like chewing gum.
Yeah, but that won't get you past the perimeter into the Nully camp.
Just leave that to me. I've got that figured out, too. I picked up a sandcat out to the town of Druro and waited for 2 days. There was a shipment of Nullies, the last of the Sinala roundup, due at the camp. Out of respect to public opinion, they dumped Nullies at night, which suited me fine. About 100 Nullies were going over the newcomers like kangaroo caught in a frontier jail. I don't think anybody actually got killed, but they almost tore the new bunch to pieces, grabbing cigarettes, jackknives, buttons, shoes, anything. And then, like as not, the old-timers would fight each other for it. The whole thing was over at dawn, and I could get a look around the camp. There were prefab huts and some trees. I started over to one of the huts.
My hut.
Take it easy, friend. I'm not going to hurt you. Look, I'm your friend.
Sure. You think you're going to steal my ration, huh? I'll kill you first.
How long have you been here?
2 years. Got a cigarette?
Here. No, don't grab. I'll toss you one.
Don't you make a move towards me.
Sure. What were you before you got in here?
Huh? A teacher. An IOPA technical. I fixed them before they got me. I cut down 10 medics with a power drill.
When is breakfast, friend?
You go plenty hungry. Ration isn't until tomorrow. You think there was some fight last night? Wait till you see ration drop. Last time somebody tried to beat me to a ration case, I fixed her.
Never mind. Don't tell me about it. Hey, what's that over there? Up the hill. Looks like a regular fortress.
What are you trying to do? Hurt me?
No, I just asked you what goes on up there, those other huts inside that barricade.
You spying for them? Yeah, sure. You're spying for them, you dirty...
It isn't easy to get used to dodging nasty backhand punches that came out of the blue and were meant to kill, if possible. I got my arm up in time to catch about half the force, and the man ran off with my pack of cigarettes. But there was something up that hill worth looking into. A barricaded section set apart from the rest. So I started up. When I hit the woods, I stopped just 3 feet short of a 10-foot spear.
All right, you. Get back down the hill.
Now, take it easy, will you? What's going on up here?
Go on, get moving. I've got orders to kill if I have to.
You don't understand. I just want to find out...
Yeah, sure you do. They always do. Every time there's a new batch, there's a few still smart enough to plan together, and they come up here spying.
Spying on what? Look, I'm
I'll
a
count
newspaper...
3, and then you get it in the belly.
No hero I got before he reached 1.5. That night, I managed to talk to the ex-teacher without either of us slugging the other. I asked him about the guard on the hill.
They get all the best rations. They make us give up our food or they come kill us. They've got spears and knives.
You mean there's a gang up there living off the rest of you?
Yeah. I killed one of them once. Caught him from behind with a rock. They came down and killed 10 of us. Didn't get me, though. Funny, huh?
I got the picture. It's been the same every time men are herded together like animals. Andersonville, Buchenwald, and Dachau, the Alaskan camps in the 70s, and now Druro. The strong live off the others, a kind of racketeering in spades. Grab the best of everything, live as rich as you can, and don't worry how many you leave to starve to death.
We're going to get them, though. Tonight. Got rocks together and clubs. Go up there and we'll get them. You come.
I didn't have much choice. They would have torn me apart. About 10 o'clock at night, the mob gathered at the foot of the hill. Every once in a while, they'd swipe at each other with a club or a rock, but mostly they shouted up at the hill. And then suddenly, without any signal, they charged. It was kind of sick. Men and women, heaven knows what they were before, teachers, mothers, anything, screaming and running up that hill. And then the defenders cut loose. There were torches so I could see, rocks rolled down, boiling water, spears, arrows, enough to cut down that unarmed mob. I was hiding behind a tree now, sick, good and sick. When it happened... No!
Hold on, bud. I'm going to pull this arrow out. Here it goes now.
Where am I?
Up the hill. That's where you wanted to go, isn't it?
But how did...
We dragged you up here. Herb, get some bandages up here.
You're one of them, aren't you?
One of who?
The big shots, the kingpins, gangsters.
You didn't get hit in the head, did you?
Oh, it's too bad they didn't wipe you out up here. It's tough enough living in a place like this, but to prey on the weak ones...
Look, fella, I think maybe you got the wrong idea.
Oh, thank heaven I'm safe from this kind of...
Yeah, I wondered when you'd notice. That fancy suit of yours got torn when the arrow hit.
Oh, no. Nully fever.
That's why we hauled you up here. We spotted something funny about you. A kettle of boiling water splashed on you. You didn't even notice. Who are you?
George Gordon, Galactic News Service.
A newsman? Listen, does anybody know you're in here?
Yeah.
Maybe there's a chance. Can you tell them they got to let us out? Tell them what it's like up here. Make them understand. We write messages for the ration planes and they ignore them. You can't get close enough to the guards to shout, they shoot you down. They got to let us out.
Oh, sure. After what I've seen, that's the last thing I do. Try to con somebody into letting this loose on the population. I've seen enough nullies. Even if I have to spend the rest of my life in this camp, I don't want to be responsible for making more.
Wait a minute. You don't get it. We're not nullies up here.
What? Nobody gets in the camp who isn't a nully.
That's right. We all had it when we came in, but not anymore. Up here, we're cured.
You're lying.
You've got to believe me. We've been living up here for 4 years, keeping guard. Trying to live like human beings in the middle of those animals down there. Losing maybe 3 or 4 a week, fighting them off.
You know, you're more dangerous than they are down there because somehow you've kept some intelligence, enough to want revenge on the rest of the world by infecting.
No, you've got to believe me. We're cured. Nully fever can be cured somehow because we've done it. About 100 of us. More now with the babies.
The what?
Babies. Normal, healthy babies.
He pointed across the clearing to another hut, and I saw it. A woman about 30, sitting on the doorsteps, nursing a baby. an infant. And I heard the words of the commissioner echoing in my ear. And, of course, total sterility. These weren't nullies, not anymore. If they could have babies, they must be cured. Living as a desperate island in a mad world of violence. Well, you know the rest of it. You ought to. It was carried under my byline and every fact sheet on 3 planets. They had a micro-technician up the hill who gimmicked my miniature microphone with a hairpin and a piece of quartz crystal, so I cut in on the main traffic beam between Sinala and Iopa. I had Scott Warren at Government House in 15 minutes, threatening to blow the lid off the whole colonial government. The babies did it. Aerial photographs with micro-enlargements. They had pictures of those babies on the wire the next day. Red tape held it up a week. But finally, 100 cured ex-nullies and 1 reporter were out of Druro at Iopa General Hospital for checks. They found it. Nully fever is psychosomatic. You take somebody strong enough to fight for survival, give him incentive, and he'll lick it by himself. No miracle drugs needed. It starts with a virus, all right. But it ends with psychotherapy. A good dose of willpower. I got back to work in a month.
Welcome back, George. The teletype's dead as ever. Back to the longevity of the Martian sand lizard.
Druro Nully story played out?
Dead as last week's herring.
Well, what else is new? Maybe we can find another skeleton in the closet. How about life on the Martian moons? Now, that ought to be good for a headline.
Fred Collins again, and I'll have a word for you about next week's X-1 in a moment.
Hey, Molly, it's me. Where are you?
I'm here, McGee. What's the matter?
Are you doing anything?
Am I doing anything? I've got a towel wrapped around my head, a broom in one hand, a bucket of soap and water in the other, and the kitchen curtains under my arm, and you ask me if I'm doing anything. Sure, I'm vacationing in Florida.
Oh, here, Molly, let me take that stuff.
What are you doing?
Now, just sit down. Sit down right here.
Well, you're sweet, McGee, but I've got...
You can go back to work in a minute. I got something big to tell you. You know, something really big.
What have you gone and done?
We're going to be on Monitor.
Monitor?
NBC's fascinating, motivating, merry-making, scintillating, ever-vescerating weekend radio service.
Oh, that Monitor. Of course. And we're on it, McGee? When?
This weekend and every weekend. What do you say to that?
Oh, that's wonderful, McGee.
So don't make any plans, folks. We'll be seeing you this weekend. All weekend.
On Monitor.
And now a word about next week's story. The Category Inventors by Arthur Sellings on X-1. You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features Time Waits for Winthrop by William Tenn. Winthrop was literally the most stubborn and selfish man in 500 years. How could they convince him not to strand them in this society of shriek fields and panic stadiums? Galaxy Magazine, on your newsstand today. Tonight, X-1 has brought you Inside Story, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by Richard Wilson and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in our cast were Bob Hastings, Leon Janney, Ralph Bell, Richard Hamilton, Edwin Cooper, and Pat Hosley. This is Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
There's excitement in the air at night, and Nightline brings it to you. Hear Nightline with Walter O'Keefe, next on most of these NBC stations.
this is Walter O'Keefe, inviting you to listen in on the Nightline. Tonight, live the incredible life of ages yet to come, in a time that might be 1,000,000 years from now, on X-1. Now, an incredible story of the world beyond.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000, could be years, on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, presents X-1. Tonight, The Category Inventor by Arthur Sellings. But first, hear this. I don't have time to tell you all about the many things that make Pabst Blue Ribbon a better tasting, more thirst-quenching beer. Besides, you're more interested in how it tastes than how it's made. But one thing you should know. Experience is the most important ingredient in any beer. And Pabst is the product of America's oldest national brewer, established 1844. Pabst of Milwaukee. Now, X-1, as Nelson Olmsted stars in The Category Inventor.
Frankly, I didn't expect to have the trouble. The morning that it happened was just like any other morning. I came into the locker room and took off my coat, and through the open doors I could hear the welcome sound of the boys warming up. Perhaps I should have realized something was wrong when Kurt Bergson, the orchestra manager, came up to me.
Gilbert, how are you this morning?
Fine, Mr. Bergson. I'm not late, am I?
No, not late. You must have left the house early this morning.
Yes, I did. It was such a nice day, I thought I'd walk. Luckily, I don't play the double bass. Bassoon isn't so hard to carry.
You didn't get your mail this morning?
No, I didn't. Mail usually comes about 10 o'clock. Well, I better get out there and warm up.
Gilbert, I wish you had gotten your mail this morning. You see, I have to let you go.
What? But what do you mean? Why? What's the matter?
Well, you understand.
But there's a concert tonight and tomorrow night. Who could you get to replace me? Where can you get a bassoonist? Where? Oh, no.
I'm sorry, Gilbert. It had to happen.
Oh, no. Not the bassoon. The timpani I can understand and the piano, but not the bassoon. I'm going out there.
Don't, Gilbert. Don't. You'll just be unhappy.
Now, let me by, Mr. Bergson. I've got to see it with my own eyes. Of course, it was bound to happen. Where my music stand and chair had been stood a gleaming coppery robot. His music stand was attached to a bracket that came out from his forehead, and his electronic scanning eyes were blinking and ready. He had 7 fingers on each fully articulated hand. His lips were precast in perfect bassoonist embouchure, with flexi-plasti-butyl skin adjusting to the reed. I could hear the softly whirring motor of his constant pressure breath apparatus. It had come. The robot bassoonist.
Now, Gilbert, honey, you mustn't be depressed. It's not your fault. The world doesn't understand creative artists anymore.
No, bassoon player isn't creative, Marge. He executes.
Well, anyway, he's an artist. That means he's got intelligence and imagination. And that means he's got a head start when it comes to a new job, doesn't it, honey?
Sure. Yeah, head start. Marge, I tell you, there isn't any use. I've been checking into the category office every day. All I know is how to play the bassoon. Well, we'll just have to get used to being on reserve.
But what will we tell the children, dear?
And then, of course, one day the household robot broke down in the middle of breakfast.
Gilbert!
Well, what is it? What?
The robot right in the middle of getting breakfast, it exploded.
I'll ring Center.
Oh, but the children will be late to school. Call in, Michael.
Well, there's not much use in their hurrying if there's no breakfast, is there?
Well, I'm trying. You think it's easy making breakfast by hand?
No.
Don't just stand there. Do something.
Oh.
The children won't get any breakfast, and they've got enough to put up with.
Well, what do you mean by that? What exactly have they got to put up
Look,
with?
I haven't got time to argue with you. Which one of these tubes is the orange juice concentrate?
I think that's ketchup.
Well, turn it off.
Oh, you jammed it.
Oh, it's been like this ever since you stopped.
Ever since I what?
Oh, keep your hand over the ketchup. It's flooding the kitchen.
Ever since what? Ever since they put me on reserve, that's what it is, isn't it? Listen, if you think... Oh, that confounded robot always in the way. I ought to...
If you're going to use foul language, you might at least keep your voice down. You know what sharp ears the children have.
Oh, so now I'm a corrupter of my own children. Well, let me tell you... What's that?
The Henomat. I said it to synthesize fresh eggs. It's out of control. Oh, Gilbert, there goes the ketchup again. Do something.
You are listening to the Category Inventor. Tonight's attraction on X-1. Each year, increasing thousands of Americans stricken with multiple sclerosis turn to the Inventor.
Finally, I got the ketchup and orange juice faucets turned off and the Henomat pulled out of the socket. I looked down, and there was our household robot on the floor. It was all its fault, it and millions of its kind. Suddenly, all the frustration of the last few months focused on the robot, and I kicked it.
Well, now I've seen everything. A grown man actually kicking a poor, defenseless robot.
I was expecting the mechanic from Robot Center when the door buzzed. I opened it, but it wasn't the mechanic. It was my father-in-law.
Hello, son. Surprise, surprise.
Oh, hello. I wasn't expecting you. George is a politician. They haven't yet found a robot that can take that trade over. Right behind him was the mechanic from Robot Service. However, he wasn't the mechanic, he explained.
Actually, you see, I'm a robot therapist, specializing in robot psychiatry and robot synaptic stimulation.
Well, what do you mean, therapist? I sent for a mechanic.
Now, you just leave it to me, sir. Where is the robot?
In the closet. I dumped it there after it broke down.
Oh, too bad, too bad. It would have been better if you'd left it where it fell. Failure attitudes often give invaluable pointers to the cause of breakdown. In here?
Yeah, that's right, in the kitchen closet. How do you like that? They got psychiatrists for robots.
Well, certainly, son, that's the way things are now. They're branching out, keeping one step ahead of the robots all the time. Man's got to be adaptable. Now, you take old Tom Angel. Old Tom up and registers himself as the first of a new generation of reading card verse writers. He was first in, so he got charter rights. Now, you got the idea? Once you get in the progressive mood, you're all set.
Yeah, funny kind of progress, dusting off a defunct custom.
Yeah, well, nowadays, a man doesn't have to fight for a job. All he has to do is to invent one. That's one of the platforms of our party, the party that stands up for the reservist rights. Why, you know, it was our party who saw to it that every family worker and reservist alike had a robot of his own by inalienable rights.
Oh, I'm sick and tired of having a robot of my own. I'd be perfectly happy if there weren't any robots at all, especially the ones that sit in their chromium-plated tails in chromium-plated orchestras playing chromium-plated bassoons.
What? Well, Gilbert, you don't know what you're saying. You're talking like a Luddite.
Oh, I am I? What's a Luddite?
It's history. They were the people who broke up the first power machines 200 years ago. Well, if that's the way you
Hold
feel,
it now, wait a minute, hold it.
Well, what is it? What's the matter now?
Pop, I've got it. Excuse me, I'm on my way.
Mr. Perry, I just gave your robot a tape audio in there, and the results were sad.
Yeah, well, look.
Sad.
Yeah, look, I'm busy. I'll talk to you later.
That robot has developed a severe guilt complex.
Guilt complex?
That's right. Oh, they're sensitive, you know. Once they get the idea their owners aren't happy, they brood about it. They make mistakes, and that makes them feel more guilty. You just have to keep these robots understanding that you're happy.
But finally, I got away from the robot psychiatrist. The category office was crowded with reservists hanging around with the slender hope of getting in a hot tip. I went into the first booth and spoke to the robot clerk.
Yes, sir. You wish to file a category. I have your name and other information now. Nature of category.
Neo-Luddite.
Repeat, please.
Neo-Luddite.
Definition?
The lawful opposition to the robot economy. Now, let's see a robot take over that job.
Classification of category.
Political.
Your application will take a short time to check. This machine sends a copy to the registry below. They carry a complete file of all categories.
Oh, is that it?
I'm sorry, sir, but your application has been rejected.
What?
The category office extends its sincere regrets and trusts this will not deter you from making further application at the category office.
Now, you listen here, you metallic mouthpiece. That application is legitimate. Now, nobody's got any right to reject it. Now, you can't just stand here.
Sir, you are overexcited. The supervisor is on his way.
Ah, Mr. Perry, you're upset, eh? Well, you understand we dislike having to turn down anyone's application.
Now, listen. Now, that category I put forward is perfectly good. I've got a right to be heard. An opposition party is just what's needed.
Well, of course it is, Mr. Perry. I was only trying to tell you that you couldn't register that category because it was registered years ago.
What?
Yes, the Humans Only movement is a recognized party, even though it's never managed to win an election or attract many adherents. But the movement does have state backing, funds, officers, the same proportion of salary to officials, members, the same as the two big parties. Better luck next time, Mr. Perry.
There was only one thing to do. Start all over again with some of the lines. Study and study until I could do it as well as I could play the bassoon. But what line? And how could I be sure that it wouldn't be taken over by the robots? I was walking along the street, and then suddenly a soundy ad jumped up out of a hydrant at me, and I popped it and listened.
Are you on reserve? Are you tired of being unemployed? Don't fret. Contact the C.P. Jones Bureau, Category Inventors, Room 53, Universe Building.
Just as I got to the Universe Building, the doors swung open and two big bruisers came through carrying a little old man.
You let me go, you hear? Let me go! I'll have a writ served on you. A man's got his rights. Now you let me go. Let me go. Oh,
are you all right?
I'll have a writ served on him.
Are you hurt?
No.
Oh. Well, I wonder if you can help me. This is the Universe Building, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Would you mind dusting off my jacket?
Yes. Well, I'm looking for somebody here. I wonder if you could help me.
Robbers. Throwing a man out after all these years. 10 years I've worked in this building.
Oh, you work here. Well, then perhaps you could help me find...
Yes, I had my own office. The C.B. Jones Bureau.
You're C.P. Jones, the category inventor?
You heard of me?
I was coming to see if you could fix me up.
Oh, well, it's just as well you didn't. I didn't have a category in stock. As a matter of fact, son, I never did manage to invent a single category, except the one of Category Inventor. Well, they finally caught up with me, revised my category a week ago, and canceled my license. Say, would you like to have a drink?
No, I don't have any money, only reserve script.
Well, that's good enough for an emergency. Come on. You see, it didn't cost him anything. My fee was only payable out of salary if and when I delivered. Once a year, the accounting office sent over a robot auditor to check the books. Oh, I had 2 or 3 sets of books, but they finally caught up with me, and now I've got to invent another job. I used to be a trapeze artist in the circus. I was the oldest trapeze man in the game, but I got too shaky. Have another drink.
Yeah, well, it's my turn to buy.
All right, but say, after we finish this round, let's move to a real bar.
About the 4th bar, we got playing a parlor game, inventing make-believe categories, you know. You go from the inane to the obscene and back again. And we got thrown out of one bar, and then we started on beer, and, well, that made us sad. And C.P. Jones began to recite poetry.
How am I to face the odds of man's bedevilment in God's? I, a stranger and afraid, in a world I never made. Say, did I ever show you a one-handed nip-up from the chandelier? I used to be an acrobat, you know. Alley, whoop.
I woke up with the sun in my eyes, and I saw a figure moving. Is that you, Marge?
If you want breakfast, you'll have to go out. They haven't delivered the new robot yet.
Oh.
Do you want all this trash?
What trash?
These papers in your pockets and a note.
What does it say?
Oh, I'm not surprised you can't read this morning. I'm surprised you're breathing this morning.
No, please, Marge.
All right. It says, Umbrological Parallax Tracer. What's that?
Umbrological parallax tracer. Umbrological, That's it.
What's it?
That's it. Give me my pants. I've got something to attend to.
Well, I'm glad to see you, Mr. Perry. Trying again, eh?
Yeah.
Category, umbrological, parallax, tracer. Well, most interesting. What exactly is that?
Well, it involves ascertaining the degrees of parallax for the current umbrological investigation. It's not easy to explain in a few words.
Of course. I thought it would probably be too complex for me to grasp. I'll check it through. Frankly, I don't understand half the details of the categories that we... let's see now. Oh, dear.
What's the matter?
The West Town office has already admitted an application this morning for an umbrological parallax correlator. Now, you'll have to prove that the two functions are distinct and separate.
Umbrological parallax That wouldn't have been a Mr. C.P. Jones, would it?
Why, yes. You know each other?
Well, yes. We should have met this morning and filed our categories together. But a parallax tracer is entirely different from a parallax correlator. You see, a parallax can be correlated in a dialectical opposition in a conjunction to and with it being traced. Now, to put it more simply...
Well, that's perfectly all right. I'll see that the distinction is made. Well, your charter will be mailed to you within a few days. I suppose you want to share offices with Mr. Jones?
Why, yes, sir. Yes, I suppose so.
Very well, then. I'll have the offices assigned. Congratulations, Mr. Perry. You're off reserve.
Well, how do you like the new office, Gilbert, my boy?
Oh, figure you almost cleared the pitch for me by filing.
Well, I didn't have your address, and I didn't know you'd get the same idea. I just remember we laughed a lot over it and thought it one of the best phony categories we'd made up. Of the printable ones.
Yes.
Anyway, I did change the end to give you a loophole.
Oh, of course, we're cheating, aren't we?
Cheating? Well, I'm not. I've already looked up umbrology for a start.
There isn't any such word.
Well, if there was, it would be a science of shadows. Oh. Now, all we have to do is find the parallaxes.
But you're not serious.
Serious? Of course I'm serious. The world's so complicated these days, everyone's such a specialist that no one can be sure yet what's fact and what isn't. We're the only umbrologists in the world. Who can question us?
Yes, I suppose that's true.
Why, the scope's enormous.
Anyway, we're off reserve. We've got a job.
And I'm not letting any grass grow under my feet here. Now, don't just stand there. Our robot hasn't arrived yet. Give me a hand with this filing cabinet. We're going to need it.
You're right. We got our work cut out for us. Let me tell you, the life of an umbrological parallax tracer isn't all beer and skittles. Let's get to work.
Fred Collins again, and I'll have a word for you about tonight's X-1 in a moment.
On your weekends, at home or in your car, or at the beach, or wherever you are, take a radio along and let Monitor take you along to wherever exciting and interesting and entertaining things are happening anywhere in the world. And sometimes under it, like this.
This is Bob Haynes speaking to you from the central control room aboard the U.S. submarine Sea Lion on this UDT exercise called the Bottom Lockout. We're about ready to dive. That sound you just heard was the decompression. The top bridge hatch is closed. We're all secured now.
Dive.
There we go.
Yes, from a ride in a Navy submarine to anywhere in the world where exciting and interesting and entertaining things are happening, Monitor takes you there, making your weekends brighter with celebrities, music, news, and sports. This is Frank Blair inviting you to join us on Monitor on most of these NBC stations.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Galaxy Science Fiction Magazine, which this month features Daniel F. Galloway's unusual story titled If Money. Read it in Galaxy Magazine on your newsstand today. Tonight, X-1 has brought you The Category Inventor, a story from the pages of Galaxy written by Arthur Sellings and adapted for radio by Ernest Kenoy. Featured in our cast were Nelson Olmsted as Gilbert, Hetty Galen as Marge, Wendell Holmes as George, Joseph Bell as the serviceman, Alan Bergman as the supervisor, Bert Cowlin as Kurt, and Edwin Cooper as Mr. Jones. This is Fred Collins speaking. X-1 was directed by Daniel Sutter and is an NBC Radio Network production.
There's excitement in the air at night, and Nightline brings it to you. Hear Nightline with Walter O'Keefe, next on most of these NBC stations.
The Magic Island is once more a dread name to Mrs. Gregory and her little band of friends. When they made their escape from the island through messages carried to another boat by homing pigeons, things looked favorable for a few short hours, but now the future is as black as it could be painted. Recaptured by a Euclidean submarine and being towed back to the island by their submerged captor, Tex Bradford and Jerry Hall are on the deck, wondering what their fate will be. Mrs. Gregory and her daughter Joan are aboard the submarine. As Jerry and Tex notice a sudden list to starboard, the old skipper comes running with the news that they're shipping water through a bad hole in the hull, chopped by the Euclidean who was their prisoner.
You're sure of that, Skipper?
Aye.
But how could that guy get loose? He was tied down with everything in the hold.
Wasn't enough, though, Jerry. He's gone. Kicked the sight out of our boat doing it. We've got to do something about slapping a patch on that hole, so the submarine won't have to bother to tow us much farther.
Well, let's go and see what we can do about them, Tex.
Hold it a minute, Jerry. Think you and McLeod can get a patch over that hole, Skipper?
Aye.
But without motors, we haven't got any pumps.
No.
Well, shove off, Skipper, and get Mac working on that thing. If you can't stop it, we'll signal the sub to take us aboard.
Aye.
And sound out for us if you can't handle it.
Aye.
Gosh, the skipper looks like he'd just as soon drown as get on board that submarine.
Can't blame him much for that, son.
Things look pretty bad, don't they, Tex?
Well, they have looked brighter, but we won't give up.
I hope Mrs. Gregory and Joan are all right in that crazy Euclidean submarine.
Jerry, my optimism has led me into trouble more than once. But I can't believe that we won't find our way out of this somehow.
I'm not scared about it. Well, yes, I am. Plenty scared. But we've been on the island before, and we got away from it. Why can't we do it again?
Well, they won't be disposed to treat us quite so kindly this time.
I don't know about that. Now, look, Captain Bradford, I think there must be some mighty good reason for wanting us to stay alive. Maybe it's your formula for the universal solvent. Maybe it's for what they think we know about our world that they don't know. But whatever it is, if they were going to do anything to us, well, why don't they just sink this boat and let it go at that?
Well, that's one way to look at it, Jerry, and it's pleasant to look at it that way. They may decide to bring a little more pressure to bear on us this time.
You mean torture you into giving them the formula?
I wouldn't put it past them.
But, gee, Tex, you'd give up the formula before you'd let them... Well, wouldn't you?
Yes, Jerry, I'm afraid I would. There's very little satisfaction in being put out of the way entirely. If worse comes to worse, I'll give them the real formula, and take a chance on beating them to the use of it.
Well, we'll have to try and make another escape then.
We'll have to do that anyway if they give us a chance, but it won't be so easy now.
Yeah, and they probably won't let us live on this boat.
Not much chance of that, unless they don't trust us on the island. After what you and Joan did to them, they're not sure how dangerous we may be.
Not really dangerous to them. Well, they could get rid of us in a minute if they wanted to.
Sure, but now they don't want to. They wouldn't be taking us back to the island so carefully.
Hey, the boat's riding better now.
Seems to be on more even keel. Mac and the skipper must have been able to stick something in that hole. Riding low in the water, though. We ship plenty of moisture.
Well, it can sink if it wants to, just so we land on something.
I managed to smuggle most of my instruments on this boat with us. They'll take those away the minute we get back to the island.
Well, I guess there's no use guessing. But golly whiskers, I'm nervous about what they're going to do to us.
We won't be in doubt long. At this speed, we'll reach the island in an hour, possibly less.
Hey, Tex, did you hear that?
I did hear something. Sounded like our radio. Jerry, maybe we've got juice enough left in those batteries to pick up a carrier wave.
No, it wasn't that. It was a ray gun.
A ray gun?
Yeah, one of those Euclidean ray guns, like the two Joan and I took away from that guard we took prisoner.
But where could it come from?
I don't know.
Oh, you must be imagining things, kid. That was a radio squeal.
No, it wasn't, Tex. I've heard all sorts of noises come out of radio sets, but none of them made my hair stand on end like this one did. There's something about the high whine of those ray guns. It sounds... There it goes again.
Yeah, I heard it plenty enough that time. Those things certainly have an unearthly wail. Where did it come from?
Sounded right under our feet.
How could it come from there? Will they work underwater?
Not very well, and not that loud.
I wonder.
What?
That Euclidean guard we had tied up in the hold.
But he's gone. Escaped when he cut that hole in the boat, just about daylight.
He's gone? Where did he go?
On board the sub, I suppose.
He couldn't have boarded that sub, Jerry. We saw the hatch and the nose open. No one went in there but that woman submarine commander and Mrs. Gregory and Joan.
No, not in the hatch.
Well, where else?
Well, those subs have an airlock. He could have been taken aboard while he was swimming underwater, and we couldn't possibly have seen him.
Then he's been in the water all the time. I remember that we had no power. He could have ridden that rudder post for hours with comparative ease.
But who would he be shooting those ray guns at?
Maybe the skipper or Max stuck their heads up over the stern.
No, they're still below.
Below, that's it, kid. Scatter for that stern hatch, quick, and walk on your toes now. Don't make a sound.
What's up?
That Euclidean never left this boat.
He what?
I'm sure of it. He knocked that hole in the side to make it look like an escape. Then he hid in the hole until the skipper and Mac fixed the leak. Now that he's in no danger of drowning, he used that ray gun to put the boys to sleep. We'll meet him at the hatch and fix him up with a little nap.
We mustn't use a ray gun on him.
Why not?
Well, the girl sub-commander is supposed to have our ray guns. And if we use one now, this guy will know we still have them.
Good boy, Jerry. You think fast sometimes. All right, now look. We'll sneak up on each side of that companionway. He can't see us till he hits the deck with 1 foot. We'll let him have it.
But his ray gun.
Can't put more than one of us to sleep with one shot. And the other one can have him tapped on the air by that time.
Okay, Tex.
Now, not a sound till we land him.
Yeah. Gee. But that guy was hard to handle. Tex. Hey, Tex.
Feel a little sleepy, Jerry.
Oh, come on. Walk around with me. I'll help you.
That ray gun.
You just about hit the end of your fingers with it. If you try hard, maybe you can walk it off and stay awake.
Not yet, but I'll try.
Oh, come on, then. Try.
Sure, I'll try.
Now, lean on me as heavy as you want to.
How did you fix our friend?
Well, I didn't have anything to hit him with, but I got a chance to jerk his head against the combing. He'll be quiet for a while.
Good boy, Jerry. Is the boat rolling a lot, or are my legs just unsteady?
Well, the water's beginning to boil around this rail. I'll bet that blamed sub is coming up again.
No, it feels like we've lost seaway.
Well, I should have noticed that a long time ago. We're not making any way at all. They've dropped our bow anchor. And there goes the nose of the blame thing.
You know, someday that girl's going to tip the boat over. Coming up under it like a whale.
Oh, not that girl. She's too smart. And what she can't do with that submarine isn't worth doing.
You know, Jerry, that's the weirdest sight. End of a sub sticking straight up out of the water and just as steady as a lighthouse.
Hey, here comes the commander. I can see her hand coming up on the bow platform.
Yeah, and you still insist that girl is a friend of ours?
I know she is. Now sit up straight as you can.
All right, but can't see very well, kid.
Keep your face pointed toward the noise of her voice. I'll do the talking.
What is the meaning of this?
Meaning of what?
That boat is becoming harder to move. I should think, Hall, that you would realize the hopelessness of your situation by this time and attempt no foolish moves.
Well, we can't help it if your Euclidean prisoner escaped and cut a hole in our boat, can we?
Where is the Euclidean guard now?
Oh, he's back there at the stern somewhere.
And what is he doing?
Taking a little nap last time I saw him.
Have you nothing to say, Captain Bradford?
Well, no. The captain, he's,
I understand perfectly. The captain is asleep.
He's mighty tired.
You haven't forgotten my teaching so quickly, have you, Hall? A ray gun will register on my instrument.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you know, what's the matter with Tex, then? That Euclidean we thought was safely tied up in the hole was hiding somewhere in the boat, and he used his ray gun on the engineer and our skipper. And when we tried to catch him, well, Tex got a little of it, too.
What was the size of the gun?
Well, one of those little 300 seconds, like we've, like we had once.
That is well. And the guard is where now?
Well, he got rough with us back there near the engine room hatch, and I had to bump his head on the combing to keep him quiet.
You will do well to guard him closely until I deliver you safely to G47. That man will not hesitate to harm you.
No. I suppose you think old G47 is going to give us a picnic.
G47 will give you what he thinks your case warrants. Is the leak in your boat sufficiently repaired to indicate possibility of successfully towing you to Euclidia?
Well, it stopped leaking, if that's a big enough answer for you.
Your attempts to converse with me as an equal are rather futile, are they not?
Maybe so, but I get 'em said.
You have said far too much. I will resume my position under your bow, and the bow anchor will be picked up by the stern magnetic fin. We will reach the island in 1800 seconds.
Oh, half an hour, huh? Okay, Skipper. We'll hang on. How are Mrs. Gregory and Joan?
They are in my care.
That might mean anything.
Indeed, it might.
Golly whiskers. Now this is a fine pickle. McLeod and the old skipper are asleep in the hold, and Tex sleeping on the rail, and, well, if that guard starts up this way, I hope I can handle him.
I'll help you, kid.
Oh, gee, Tex, are you all right?
Well, I have felt better, but I'm waking up a little, and I can tell what goes on around me.
Well, the sub has gone under again, and she'll be picking up our bow anchor any minute.
How much time did she say we had before we get to the island?
Half hour. Why?
Well, we might have a chance to plan a little something, but the hope isn't very strong.
And that Euclidean back there at the stern won't stay asleep much longer. If that's only a 300-second ray gun, he ought to be coming out of it now.
That sub just picked up our anchor?
Yeah, we're starting to move now. And the commander said only 1,800 seconds to Euclidean.
Oh, forget the 1,800-second stuff, Jerry. Let's talk like white people for the few minutes we have left.
Well, that stuff gets me, though. I'm getting so I talk just like those Euclideans.
Yeah, not exactly, but...
Hey! Here comes that Euclidean guard, sneaking around the corner of the aft cabin.
I can't see very well. Has he got his ray gun?
Sure he has.
Then you'll have to use yours if he crowds it.
But that way, he'll find out we have them.
And he'll find it out anyway if he puts us to sleep and searches us.
Tex, wait a minute. I think we're going to be all right.
What's going on?
The old skipper. He's in his bare feet, sneaking up behind that Euclidean.
Has he got a gun?
No, but he's got a monkey wrench. And he's going to use it. Oh, boy, what a sock.
Did the skipper get him, Jerry?
I'll say he got him. And he'll be asleep longer than any of those ray guns would be good for. That old skipper can sure use a monkey wrench.
Back to the Magic Island. That strange artificial island called Euclidia, which held the Gregory party prisoner for so long, is to become their stopping place once more. When Mrs. Gregory, Joan, Jerry, and Captain Bradford made their escape on a small cabin cruiser, with their faithful old skipper and the Scotch engineer McLeod, all seemed well. But the Euclideans are not so easily beaten. The submarine, commanded by the beautiful young woman whom the Euclideans call Commander, has brought them back to the island. The surface of the island is above water now, and apparently the Euclideans feel no danger near them, as Euclidia is open to view from all sides. Jerry and Tex Bradford are standing at the bow of the boat as they drift slowly but steadily to the island.
Gee, Captain Bradford, this is almost like it was the first time we landed here.
Yes, Jerry, except that we had high hopes then.
Well, we're not done yet.
That's right, we're not whipped. Things could look more pleasant.
It feels just as weird as it did that first time. The boat without any power, being pulled to that island just as smoothly as if they had a line tied to it.
They might as well have one. That eternal magnetic force will pull in any boat on the ocean. They must feel mighty sure of themselves today. They're not using the magnetic fog ring around the island.
Yeah, I noticed that, too. And it's a clear day. Say, there isn't a soul in sight on the island.
Our arrival can't be of much importance.
I'll bet it's plenty important.
That sub must be docked down there by now.
Well, sure it is. They rammed the nose of that thing right into an airlock on the side of the island and unload through the nose. Gee, I wonder where Mrs. Gregory and Joan are now.
That woman commander has probably turned them over to G47 for questioning.
Oh, I wish you and I could be there to help them out. You know, it needs a man at a time like this.
You're right, Jerry. But I'm afraid we'll be some time getting back together.
Well, they may keep us apart from now on.
Wouldn't surprise me a bit.
We're going to have a harder time escaping.
We'll have no chance at all to escape. Jerry, our only hope will be to take over this island, and that's a job.
Well, I wish they'd start something. This dragging along up to the pier, without seeing anyone move on the island is getting on my nerves.
Somebody will be out to take care of us. Don't be in a hurry for your punishment.
Now we're sliding along the pier, and the boat is being warped in as carefully as you could do it with the line.
Not quite as impressive as the first time they did it to us, though. We've seen it before.
Hey, Tex, look.
That magnetic fog ring being thrown up around us now, eh?
Yeah, and all around the island.
When that fog closes in, you can feel the power of this mad island.
You know, Euclidia becomes mighty real, all right, when you see them shutting us off from the world just as easy as we turn off the gas jet back home.
And I think we're going to get our welcome before long.
Why?
Isn't that one of their elevator housings rising up out of the island?
Yeah, but that's funny. There wasn't any elevator there when we were here before.
Steady, Jerry. Things are wild enough here without allowing yourself any daydreams.
Well, I know what I'm talking about, Tex. That elevator wasn't there when we were here before. They must have built it.
Jerry, when we were here before means last night.
Huh?
Don't you realize we've been off this island only a matter of hours?
Golly whiskers. You're right. And they couldn't have rebuilt that island and stick in another elevator shaft that fast.
Of course they couldn't. So you must be mistaken.
No, I'm not mistaken. I don't know how that elevator got there so quick, but there wasn't any elevator on this side of the island yesterday.
Wait a minute. I've got it, kid. We're coming in from the south this time.
Oh, no, we're not. And you know we're not. That island has been turned around.
Turned around?
I'm not dreaming, Tex. Look at the position of the defense chambers and the main radio room. And look at this pier. It's on the north side of the island. Just the same position they pulled us into before. But it isn't the same pier.
But you realize what you're saying, Jerry.
Sure I do.
Then you think they can move this island? I don't mean just submerge it and then raise it again as we saw them do. I mean actually move the entire island?
I'm as sure as I'm standing here that they've already moved it.
Huh. And we're going to escape from a setup like this? Huh.
Maybe we'd better not talk any more about what we're going to do. Here comes the Euclideans.
Say, that was an elevator. There's an even dozen men coming over here.
And every one of them are carrying those big ray guns.
They're not just sleep producers like the ones we...
Careful.
Sure.
No, those guns put you to sleep so you won't wake up at all.
Then listen, we'll do exactly as they say.
Wait, this spooky place is beginning to get me going again. Look at all those fellas walking right up to us. And their heavy shoes not making a sound. You know, they're walking on rocks.
It's that noiseless paint again. Well, our freedom is over, son. Now keep your chin up.
Right. And I'll let you do all the talking.
Yes, I hope they give me a chance to talk. Their faces don't look as if they'd come for a friendly chat.
Oh, let them start it.
Good idea. Well?
Guess we just stand and look at each other.
Well, what do you want us to do? Won't somebody say something?
I will.
Better not, Jerry.
Oh, at least they can loosen up enough to make motions.
Yes, and they want us to come over on the pier.
Wonder if they'll let us get McLeod and the skipper, too.
How about our friends? Do we bring them along?
The answer is no. And they're getting tired waiting for us, I'm afraid.
Well, we may as well go. Now, look, don't make any passes at them.
Don't worry, I won't. Boy, those old footsteps sound pretty good. You may not hear any more of them for a long time.
No, that soundproof paint will spoil all that.
Well, here we are. What now?
Follow you? No? Oh, I see. Get in the middle, son.
Nice place to be with a ring of those ray guns all around us. Hey, I don't need to stick that thing into my ribs.
Easy, Jerry. They want us to go along with them. Let's go and save our conversation for some other time.
Yeah, if we get a chance to use it at all. All right, I'll keep quiet.
I don't see any reason why we can't talk. Everyone on this island can hear us, so they don't have to worry about anything we might say.
Well, I guess we can talk all right, just so as we don't get in the wrong cracks.
And we'd better say nothing.
Say, that is a new elevator. Are we going down in that thing?
No questions, kid.
No answers either, but it looks like we are.
We are.
You never had a ride in one of these things, did you?
Not as many as you and Joan had.
You know, some of them do tricks with you.
Well, these kind gentlemen are going to ride with us, Jerry. We'll probably experience nothing out of the ordinary.
Watch this operate now.
I'm watching.
And listen, wait till a big magnet grabs the car. And you can count the floors as we pass them.
Jerry, we're dropping now.
Yeah, and I didn't hear any magnet.
That's more like a hydraulic to me, or compressed air.
My stomach tells me we're going down pretty fast.
At least I haven't been able to count any floors.
Oh, boy, what a ride.
Ooh.
Looks like we get out here, Jerry.
I wonder which level we're on.
Our steps sound awfully loud here. All right, fellow, I'll go. No need to get so rough about it.
You know, G47 has told these boys to handle us pretty rough.
Well, they're doing it. Might as well go where they want us to.
Well, I never saw this part of the island before. Hey, Tex.
What?
Listen.
To what?
To our voices. We're in one of those blame echo chambers where everything sounds about twice as loud as it is.
There is a hollow ring to it, all right. Well, this is the end of the passage, so I judge we'll stop here.
I think they want us to go on in.
We go in without you? Okay. Come on, Jerry.
Well, at least we're alone.
Yes, with about 100 microphones picking up every sound we make, I suppose.
Well, I wish we could get out of this blame echo thing.
What are we supposed to do here, I wonder?
Well, this looks like a little hall, and I can see 4 doors. Let's start knocking on doors and see who lives here. We're in a steel cell, and that's for sure.
Yes, the way that door clanged shut behind us didn't leave much doubt as to that.
Think it's all right if I knock on the door?
Might as well find out where we are.
Okay, here goes. Golly whiskers.
You shouldn't knock so hard, Jerry.
I didn't. I just...
Oh, Tex!
Are you all right?
Oh, it's right. Joan and I are all right, Tex, and you and Jerry?
Not heard a bit, Pat.
Our outlook has not been particularly pleasant during this enforced separation. Your welfare has given us some concern.
Well, you're okay, Joan. Whenever you start to unwind the dictionary, I can tell you're right side up and ready for another round.
It does seem as if your attempts at conversation grow more confusing and illogical with each attempt.
Oh, is that so?
Now, you two kids stop quarreling.
Oh, I don't mind it, Tex. The last few hours have proven to me that I can stand anything if only we're all together.
How much chance have we to stay together on this island?
Our hurried observations made during a brief tenancy of this apartment would warrant a conclusion that we will all be confined in this series of chambers, with many privileges.
You couldn't work in something about the privilege of escaping, could you?
Quiet, Jerry. Someone may be hearing all we say.
We know they are. Joan says these walls are made of transparent steel, and that they can watch us from the outside at all times. But I see no reason why we shouldn't talk as we please. G47 and his assistants will know that escape is our one thought.
Yeah, and that's probably a lot of wasted thinking.
Indubitably.
Probably all's all right.
Now, will you two be quiet for a minute till we have a chance to look around? How about closing this door?
It's not necessary. That short outer hall is ours, and we have 4 private rooms here, all connected by the hall.
Well, it looks as if we're going to be comfortable for the present.
And there is a refrigeration chamber well stocked with food and appliances for its preparation. It would appear that we are to be left alone to our own devices, for the time at least.
Good. Maybe we can figure something out. If we only had our stuff off the boat.
We'll have that, Jerry. The submarine commander told us our possessions would be brought to us in time.
Yes, after G47 has looked them over carefully, of course.
The little homing pigeons we are to have here.
Golly whiskers, that's swell.
What good will the pigeons do us, Jerry? Don't forget, we're 90 feet below the surface of the ocean, in a steel chamber on an artificial island.
It doesn't sound like much of a picnic when you add it up that way, Pat. Pigeons or airships. Nothing can do us much good here.
Well, they must be going to do something with us. What is it?
This confinement with the continuous reverberation of our voices will rapidly reach the state of exquisite torture.
Joan, dear, you think this terrible echo is deliberate? A method of punishment?
I know it is, Mother. During my lifetime on this island, many people have been placed in these echo cells, and it is only a short time until they will do anything G47 desires to escape from their own voices.
Yes, I can see how that would work. It wouldn't be long until the sound of voices here would drive one mad.
Oh, gee, we've got to talk, or we'd go mad anyway.
Kellogg Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents the adventures of Superman. Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings at a single bound,
up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from another planet, who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, defender of law and order, champion of equal rights, valiant, courageous fighter against the forces of hate and prejudice. Today, in Professor Twiddle's home, the Man of Steel waits anxiously as a radar device sends its powerful beam to the rescue of Jimmy Olsen, marooned high above the Earth in a tiny rocket. We'll know the outcome in a moment. But right now, let's join Dan McCullough and his red-headed young pal, Rusty, who's telling what happened to him today.
You see, Dan, a bunch of us kids were in the schoolyard swapping duplicate comic buttons. You know, we're all collecting them from packages of Kellogg's Pep.
Sure.
Well, one of the guys traded a KO button for a Superman.
Why, that's a fair trade, I'd say.
Yeah, but wait till you hear. I was kind of disappointed because I had an extra Superman I wanted to swap.
Well, you'll get another chance.
Oh, I did. Listen. Then this fellow comes up to me and he says, "You want to swap a Superman for a Smokey Stover button?"
Hey, swell. You know, you said the other day that you needed Smokey Stover.
So I said, sure, and we traded.
Well, that's fun. But say, what on earth did he want 2 Superman buttons for?
Well, that's the point. I couldn't figure it out either, so I asked him.
And?
And he said he's collecting all Superman buttons. That's the only kind he collects. And he trades all the others. He's already got 25 of them pinned on his jacket.
Well, now, that's a new angle to collecting Pep Comic Buttons, isn't it, gang? Well, it just goes to show you how many different kinds of fun there are in this swell sport. And these Pep Comic Buttons are so doggone smart-looking that, well, you'll be mighty proud when you have all 18 of them pinned on your jacket or your dress or cap. But, you know, the best part is these Pep Comic Buttons are so easy to get. You don't have to send in any money, not even a box stop. Fact is, you can't buy them anywhere. All you do is to make sure Mom supplies you with plenty of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. And there's your exclusive prize right inside the package. Remember, that's P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, the adventures of Superman.
As you remember, Professor Timothy T. Twiddle, a somewhat eccentric scientist, attempted a daring trip to the moon in his radar rocket, accompanied by Jimmy Olsen and Poco, the strange little man from the planet Utopia who speaks in rhyme. But when the rocket reached an altitude of 10,000 miles above the Earth, the radar beam on which it was being projected suddenly stopped, leaving the rocket suspended in space. Attaching messages to a pair of pigeons, Jimmy managed to get word of his predicament to Clark Kent, who, as Superman, hurried to Professor Twiddle's house in Metropolis, where the radar machine was located. There he found that 2 men had bound and gagged Gloomy Gus, Professor Twiddle's assistant, and had shut off the radar beam. Overpowering the men, Superman instructed Gus to send out the radar beam again in an effort to contact the rocket. And as we continue now, the Man of Steel stands at the radar control board, watching an indicator record the progress of the beam. Listen.
Good work, Gus. You got the beam up 8,000 miles. Jim's message said they were stuck at 10,000.
That was yesterday.
Well, they must still be in the same position. There's nothing to move them in space.
Maybe yes, maybe no.
You're pessimistic. Isn't there any bright side?
Sure. That's the trouble. There is a bright side. The sun, too bright. Probably burned the rocket to a crisp.
I doubt it.
I don't.
Hold it. The beam's almost at the 10,000-mile mark. You said a bell would ring if it meets the rocket, didn't you?
If it does. But take my word for it, the rocket's gone by now.
Is that the bell?
Looks like I was wrong.
Oh, thank heaven you were. Quick now, reverse that beam and bring the rocket back.
It can't be done.
Why not?
The rocket's monitored for the moon. It has to hit the moon to come back.
Hit it?
Yes. It's supposed to slow up when it reaches the moon. When it makes a contact, the mechanism in the nose reverses the monitor, and the rocket rides the beam back to Earth.
All the harebrained crackpot stunts I ever heard of.
That's what I told the professor, but he wouldn't listen to me.
Let's see now. The moon's 250,000 miles from the Earth, isn't it?
240,000 right now.
Okay, and the rocket travels at the rate of 5,000 miles a minute. It's at the 10,000 mark now, so that means it'll take approximately 46 minutes to reach the moon.
I'll get you a pencil.
Never mind. You stay at the control board. I can do this in my head. 46 minutes to reach the moon, another 48 minutes to return to Earth. That's 94 minutes all told. A little more than an hour and a half.
Unless something else happens.
Well, we'll hope nothing does. Oh, wait a minute. What about oxygen?
Oxygen?
Yes, there's none in space. So far as we know, none on the moon either. I hope Professor Twiddle took plenty with him.
Oh, that does it.
What? Now, don't tell me he forgot to equip the rocket with oxygen tanks.
He didn't forget, but he only took a 24-hour supply.
Uh-oh.
You see, I told you they were done for. If only they'd listened to me. I told the professor.
Hold it, Gus, hold it. What time did they leave yesterday?
Yesterday afternoon.
What time yesterday afternoon?
I told you, 10 minutes after 3. They haven't got a chance.
Take it easy. 5 minutes after 1 now. That means they have a 2-hour oxygen supply left. And if all goes well, they'll be back here in an hour and a half.
If all goes well, but it won't. I'm sure it won't.
Well, you were sure the rocket had burned up in space, remember?
Just blind luck that it didn't. They can't be that lucky again. Something else will happen, you'll see.
Let's hope you're wrong again. What does that indicator say?
30,000 miles.
Still a long way from the moon.
Too long. They'll never make it.
They must make it. Keep that radar beam going, Gus. It all depends on you.
Tensely, Superman watches the indicator on the radar screen touch 40,000 miles, through 50, and in his mind's eye, he visualizes the rocket like a tiny silver bullet hurtling through limitless space. Beads of perspiration stand out on his forehead as the indicator climbs slowly to 80,000, 100,000, 150,000, and finally 200,000. Meanwhile, inside the rocket, Professor Twiddle is beside himself with glee.
They said I couldn't do it, eh? Look ahead through the plexiglass nose, young man. You too, Poco. Tell me what you see.
Well, gosh, what is that out there?
Oh, me, oh, my. It fills the sky. Don't be alarmed, don't be alarmed. That's our destination.
Oh, you mean the moon?
Yes, indeed. We're very close to it now. Looks quite different from up here, doesn't it?
Oh, it's so big.
The diameter of the moon is about 1/4 that of Earth.
Golly, I didn't know it was that big. What are those tall things sticking up on it?
Mountains.
You mean there are mountains on the moon?
Actually, that's all the moon is. A mass of mountains and craters, covered with meteoric dust. Of course, I'm speaking about this side of the moon. Nobody has any idea what the other side is like.
What other side?
You have a short memory, so I'll explain again. The moon revolves on its axis in exactly the time it takes for it to circle the Earth. Therefore, it always presents the same side to the earthly observer. Is that clear?
I guess so.
Oh, to me, it's just as clear as mud. But it's mathematics. I'm a dud. You don't have to know mathematics to realize everything has two sides, Poco. One side of the moon we know about. The other, we don't. But we're going to find out. Imagine, in just a few moments, we'll touch the moon.
Touch it? You mean we're going to land there?
Of course not. The plexiglass nose of the rocket will merely contact the moon lightly.
Contact it lightly? At 5,000 miles a minute?
Oh, dear. Our end is near. Nonsense. The rocket is monitored to slow almost to a stop as we reach the moon. At the moment of contact, that small mechanism you see in the plexiglass nose reverses the rocket, and we immediately start back to Earth on the radar beam.
Well, the sooner the better.
Think of it. We're the first human beings to reach the moon. Our names will go down in history.
Oh, we'll be famous, like Andy and Amos.
Well, I don't want to be famous. I just want to get back to Metropolis.
You'll be back within an hour.
I hope.
I know.
Well, I don't like to be a wet blanket, but it's only a miracle we're still alive. What's that?
Oh, bang, bang. A bell rang.
Don't be alarmed. That was a signal that we've come within the orbit of the moon. Look below now. In a moment, we'll be passing over it.
Golly. Imagine looking down at the moon. Oh, well, let's make a story for the Daily Planet.
Remember, the name is Twiddle. Professor Timothy T. Twiddle.
My Trip to the Moon by James Olson. Oh, that ought to get me a raise from Mr. White.
Look! We're passing to the other side of the moon.
We are?
Yes. In a moment, we'll know what's there.
Oh, gosh. Do you suppose it's any different from this side, Professor?
Who knows? There may be even atmosphere there, and even fauna and flora.
Who is fauna and who is flora? I know two girls named Della and Dora.
Well, they're not girls, Poco. Fauna is animal life, and flora is vegetation. You think maybe there might be people on the other side of the moon, Professor?
I have no idea, young man. No idea, but we'll find out directly.
What's that?
The rocket is turning. Look sharply now. We're coming to the other side of the moon.
Tense and eager, Jimmy Olsen, Professor Twiddle, and Poco peer through the plexiglass nose of the radar rocket, about to see what no other human eyes have ever seen. What is on the other side of the moon? We'll be back in a moment for the startling climax of today's episode. But first, here again is your announcer.
You know, gang, one of the best things about collecting comic buttons from packages of Kellogg's Pep is that everybody can share in the fun. All your pals are doing it, too, so you have lots of fellows and girls to trade duplicates with. You see, you don't have to spend any of your allowance to get Pep Comic Buttons. You don't even have to send in a box stop. And yet, you collect real, true-to-life pictures of your favorite comic strip characters, done up in full comic strip colors, too. So they're bright-colored and gleaming, really nifty. What's more, there are 18 different buttons in the series, so your fun keeps on and on. Believe me, it'll be a real thrill someday soon when you can sport a full collection of 18 buttons on your jacket or your dress or cap. Now, there's only one way you can get these exclusive prizes, you know. You can't buy them anywhere, but you'll find one in every package of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Ask Mom to get you some P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's, the greatest name in cereals. Now, back to the adventures of Superman.
In a radar rocket traveling at the incredible speed of 5,000 miles a minute, Jimmy Olsen, Professor Timothy Twiddle, and Foco have just passed over the barren, craggy side of the moon, which is visible from the Earth. Now they have crossed a towering range of mountains covered with fine meteoric dust, and are above the unknown other side of the moon.
Look! The hidden side of the moon is below us.
It looks different from the other side, Professor. The mountains are much lower and... Wait, there's grass.
No, it isn't grass, but bless my beard, it is a form of vegetation. That means there must be moisture on this side of the moon. Perhaps even atmosphere.
But you mean there's air for people to breathe?
I wouldn't be too sure about that. I don't see any form of animal life.
No, I don't either. It's deserted. Ethan, listen. What's happening?
Don't be alarmed. Don't get excited. Everything's all right.
But we're falling.
No, we're not. We're just circling down to make contact. The moment we touch, we'll swing around and return to Earth.
You hope.
Professor Twiddle knows.
Yeah, but James Olsen doesn't like this.
And neither does Poco. And that's no joko.
Oh, we're getting lower and lower. Golly, Professor, are you sure we'll head back to Earth as soon as we touch the moon?
No doubt about it, young man, no doubt about it. The monitor mechanism will immediately reverse itself on contact with the moon and carry us back on the radar beam. Now, don't disturb me. I must make notes on everything I see. We only have a second or two before,
We touched. We just touched.
Steady, my boy, steady.
We're not moving.
That's strange.
You said we'd turn around. Professor Twiddle, what happened?
I don't know, young man. But something is seriously wrong. I'm afraid we're stuck on the moon.
Their jaws sagging, their eyes literally popping from their heads. Jimmy Olsen and Poco hear Professor Twiddle admit that the radar rocket is stuck on the moon, that something has gone wrong. What will happen now? Well, anything can happen on the moon, and believe me, it does. So don't miss a single word of it. Tune in tomorrow, same time, same station, for the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. Hey, gang, get a load of this. Kellogg's Variety is back. That's the famous variety carton of 6 swell Kellogg cereals in 10 separate packages. Makes breakfast more fun than a picnic. With Kellogg's Variety on the table, you can choose among Kellogg's Rice Krispies, Pep, Corn Flakes, Shredded Wheat Crumbles, and 40% Bran Flakes. Simply help yourself to your favorite. Each box holds a fresh, crisp, heaping portion. So ask Mom to get Kellogg's Variety right away. And be sure to be with us tomorrow for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents the adventures of Superman. Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Yes, it's Superman, strange visitor from another planet, who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. Superman, defender of law and order, champion of equal rights, valiant, courageous fighter against the forces of hate and prejudice. Today, as Superman waits for the tiny silver rocket to return to Earth on its radar beam, it has instead landed on the moon. We'll join its occupants in their strange surroundings in just a moment. But right now, here's Dan McCullough to ask you a question.
That's right, gang. Have you noticed how many different kinds of characters there are in the series of comic buttons Kellogg's Pep is putting out? There are blondes like Winnie Winkle and brunettes like Lillums, and there are kids like K.O. and Smitty, and heroes like Superman and Smilin' Jack, and even comics like Smokey Stover. Yes, sir, among these 18 different funny paper characters, you'll find all sorts of pictures. And that's one reason these Pep Comic Buttons look so nifty when you wear them pinned on your jacket or your dress or cap. Boy, they really show up. As for doggone good fun, well, nothing beats the thrill of getting a new button whenever Mom opens a new package of Pep. And trading duplicates with your pals is fun, too. And the greatest thrill is when you've collected all 18 buttons in the series. So get busy, gang. Better remind Mom right now to get you some more of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep, because that's the only way you can get these swell comic buttons. You don't send in any money, not even a box top, and you can't buy them anywhere. They come only as exclusive prizes in packages of Pep. So get your comic buttons, gang, from P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek. Now, the adventures of Superman.
When the radar rocket in which Jimmy Olsen and Poco set out with Professor Twiddle on a round-trip flight to the moon finally reached its destination, our three friends found themselves in serious trouble. Instead of merely touching the moon's surface and then returning to Earth on the radar beam as it was supposed to do, the gleaming metal rocket landed on the barren surface of the moon and stayed there. While Superman waited at the radar control board in Professor Twiddle's house in Metropolis, the bearded little professor, pale and shaken, peered out the plexiglass nose of the rocket and trembled violently.
I'm afraid we're stuck on the moon.
Stuck? Oh, heavens, no. It can't be so.
Yes, my young friends. Something went wrong. I don't know what. Perhaps the monitor, perhaps the radar impulse mechanism, perhaps the gravitational adjuster.
Oh, gosh, Professor, don't just stand there saying perhaps. Find out what it is and fix it. I want to get back to Metropolis.
Oh, me, oh, my. So do I.
Much as I hate to say so, I'm afraid that's quite impossible.
What? Impossible?
Yes, impossible.
Oh, Jim, listen to him.
Now, take it easy, Poco. Now, look, Professor.
It's no use getting excited, young man. No use at all. Look at me. I'm not excited. I mean, we're here. We're here, and that's not it. That's all there is to it. We're here.
I may be bent, but that doesn't make sense.
Now, look, Professor. You built the rocket. You ought to be able to fix whatever's wrong with it.
I'm afraid you don't understand. It isn't a matter of fixing the rocket.
It isn't? Well, then what is it?
Something went wrong. Perhaps the monitor. Perhaps the gravitational adjuster. Perhaps...
Oh, don't start that perhaps business again. For heaven's sake, find out what went wrong and fix it.
Oh, please, Professor Twiddle. Don't faddle and fiddle.
Who's faddling? Who's fiddling? Can't you understand, even if I did determine what was wrong with the rocket, and even if I did repair it, we would still be unable to leave the moon?
Why?
Because we have no way to launch the rocket. Rockets must be launched, you know. They can't just get up and fly.
Then what do we do?
The answer is very simple. Nothing.
You mean we're stuck?
Exactly the observation I made several minutes ago.
Oh, stuck. Out of luck.
You're not kidding, Poco. You haven't any food or water or anything. And the moon looks as bare as a desert.
We may not have to worry about food, young man.
What do you mean?
We may not live long enough to starve.
Huh?
Oh, jeepers creepers.
You forget we have only a little more than an hour's supply of oxygen left in our tank.
Oh, God.
And while there may be a small amount of moisture and atmosphere on this side of the moon, since we can see some slight vegetation, I very much doubt that there is enough oxygen to sustain human life.
Oh, great.
Oh, James, my friend, we've reached the end.
No, it can't be. I've got to do something.
What can you do?
I don't know, but I'm going to do something.
Where are you going, young man?
I'm going out to look around.
No, you mustn't.
Why not?
You'll be roasted alive during the day, and it's day now. The temperature on the moon rises to 260 degrees Fahrenheit.
Maybe on the other side of the moon, but not on this side.
What makes you say that?
Oh, because if it was 260 degrees outside, we'd be baked potatoes by now.
Bless my beard, I believe you're right. You have range, young man. You really have.
Thanks. How do you get this door open?
Wait. Don't open it.
Why not?
You're probably right about the temperature, but if there's no oxygen out there, as I suspect, you won't last a minute.
Well, so what? I'd rather be finished in a minute than wait like a rat in a trap for our oxygen supply to give out. Maybe there is some way of saving ourselves. Let me out, Professor, and slam the door after me.
Oh, me too. I'll go with you.
No, you stay here, Poco. I'll go.
If this is the end, I'll die with my friend.
Oh, gee, thanks, Poco.
I said I'll go with Jim. After all, I got you into this, and it's my responsibility to see it through. Someone must remain in the rocket, and that's you, Poco. Now stand here by the door, and as soon as Jim and I are outside, slam it and throw the bolt.
No, do as the professor says, Poco.
Oh, between you and Twiddle, I'm caught in the middle.
Ready, young man? I mean, Jim?
I'm ready. Be seeing you, Poco.
Oh, me, oh, my. Goodbye.
Come on, Jim. Quickly.
Okay. Slam the door, Poco.
Stepping out of the rocket, Jimmy Olsen and Professor Twiddle set foot on the surface of the moon. What will happen to them?
We'll return in a moment to find out. But first, here again is your announcer.
You know, gang, old man Sun does a lot more for you than just make a suntan in summertime. Sure, he's the guy who makes vitamin D for you. The sunshine vitamin that helps you grow strong bones and sturdy teeth. But now, in wintertime, when the sun doesn't do quite such a good job, it's an especially fine time to eat lots of Kellogg's Pep for breakfast. Because this sunny golden toasted cereal gives you your daily minimum need of sunshine vitamin D, plus twice as much vitamin B1 as sun-ripened whole wheat in every bowl. And is it good? Why, Pep is loaded with golden toasted flavor, crisp and crunchy as can be. Besides, there's the prize you get in every package. Yes, sir, these Pep Comic Buttons are real humdingers. Speaking likenesses of your favorite funny paper characters done up in full comic strip colors on gleaming white buttons. But remember, the only way you can get these exciting comic buttons is in packages of Kellogg's Pep. You don't send in any money, not even a box stop, and you can't buy them anywhere. But every time your family opens a new package of Pep, there's your exclusive prize. So, gang, you'll want to eat lots of P.E.P. Pep, made by Kellogg's, the greatest name in cereals. Now, back to the adventures of Superman.
Trapped on the moon with only 1 hour's supply of oxygen left, Jimmy Olsen and Professor Twiddle decided to chance instant death by leaving the rocket. As we join them now, they have walked several yards on the barren surface. Around them tower high mountains covered with a silvery meteoric dust that shimmers in the dazzling rays of the sun. A thin, wiry stubble of coarse grass seems to be growing out of the silvery dust. A low, eerie wind blows, and it is strangely dry. It seems to have no moisture, no smell of soil and trees like the winds on Earth. And its empty sound is the only sound on all the moon, save for the crunching footsteps of Jimmy and Professor Twiddle.
I can breathe, Professor. I can breathe.
Why, bless my beard, so can I. There must be an atmosphere on this side of the moon. There must be oxygen.
How hot did you say it was?
I would guess in the neighborhood of 100 degrees.
That's plenty hot.
Yeah, but we can live in it.
Can we?
Of course we can.
Well, what are we going to eat?
Huh? Oh, dear me.
Yeah, and drink.
Now, bless us, I was so amazed with there being an atmosphere to sustain us that I quite forgot about food and water. We do need those things, don't we?
I don't know about you, but I do. I'm so hungry now, I could practically eat that grass or whatever it is.
But of course. Stop a minute.
Oh, what is it?
The grass.
What about it?
It seems dry, but maybe water in it.
Water?
Certainly. It's vegetation, isn't it? Vegetation can't live without water.
I wouldn't say this stuff was living. It looks dead to me.
You may be right. Let me chew some of it.
How does it taste?
It has no taste at all. Nor has it any moisture, and I'm quite sure it isn't digestible.
Well, that's that. Oh, boy, are we in a pickle.
Pickle? What about a pickle?
I said we're in one.
Oh, I thought you said you had one. Oh. Yes, indeed, we certainly are in a pickle. In fact, I've never been in such a pickle as this pickle in all my life.
Neither have I. If only we... What's that?
What?
Don't you hear that noise?
What? Yes. What is it?
That's what I want to know. Please, look.
Dear me, what is it?
Look, all around us. Can't you see those things coming out of the ground?
But bless my beard, yes. Long, thin spirals, like
black corkscrews. Yes. Sleeping lizards. Look, Professor. There comes a head out of the ground.
Good gracious. And there's another.
And there come their bodies. Sleep. They're little men.
Bless my beard. Men.
No, they're monkeys. They've got tails. And those long corkscrews are their noses.
This is amazing. I must examine them more closely.
Look out, they're coming for us. Come on, Professor, back to the rocket.
Oh, dear me. They're pursuing us.
We've got to get into the rocket. Falco, open the door. Falco!
Come in, Jim, come in.
Falco, open the door. He heard us. The door's open. Step on it, Professor. They're gaining.
Oh, bless my beard. Bless my legs. Bless my soul.
Here we are. Dive in, Professor. Slam the door, Falco.
Oh, hurry, worry, scurry.
Oh. We made it by an eyelash. But they're swarming all over the rocket. What'll we do?
Alarmed, Jimmy Olsen, Professor Twiddle, and Poco stare through the plexiglass nose of the rocket at the strange, frightening moon creatures with their long, corkscrew-like noses, swarming over the rocket like huge beetles. Meanwhile, 250,000 miles away, in Professor Twiddle's house in Metropolis,
Superman stands at the radar control board with gloomy Gus, the professor's sad-faced assistant.
5 o'clock, Gus. The rocket should have been here 15 minutes ago. Something must be wrong.
I told you they'd never make it.
Well, there's only one thing to do. I've got to look for that rocket.
You'll never find it. It's lost in space.
I'm going to try. Now, look, you keep the radar beam going. I'm going to follow it.
You can't live up in space. There's no oxygen, and the direct rays of the sun will burn you alive.
I'll find out soon enough. All right, roll the roof back.
But I tell
Roll
you...
it back, I said. Hurry.
Okay. There you are. But if you'll listen to me...
You just keep that radar beam going. And wish me luck. Up! Up! And away!
Leaping up through the open roof, Superman streaks through the heavens toward the moon, following the faint hum of the radar beam in a desperate effort to find his friends. What is ahead for him? And for Jimmy, Poco, and Professor Twiddle, trapped in the rocket with the strange moon creatures swarming all over it. Fellows and girls, if you like excitement, don't miss Monday's amazing episode, whatever you do. It's jam-packed with thrills. So be sure to tune in Monday, same time, same station, for the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday. Same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications. Say, gang, you'll get a bang out of this. Kellogg's Variety is back. That's the grand 10-package assortment of 6 swell Kellogg cereals. Makes breakfast more fun than a picnic. Makes it easy for Mom, too. No dishes to wash, thanks to the new Kell Bowl Pack. You can eat right out of it. What's more, these generous packages are great for lunch boxes and outings. So ask Mom to hurry and get Kellogg's Variety at the grocer's her very first chance. And be sure to be with us on Monday for the thrilling adventures of Superman. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Tired of the everyday routine? Ever dream of a life of romantic adventure? Want to get away from it all?
We offer you Escape. Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure. Escape, brought to you by your Richfield gasoline dealer and the Richfield Oil Corporation of New York. Marketers of Richfield gasolines with xylene, Rich Lube, all-weather motor oil, and other famous petroleum products. Look for the Richfield Eagle on the cream and blue pumps.
Tonight, we escape with the story of the murderous priests of a weird cult hidden in the barren deserts of Mexico. As Gouverneur Morris tells it in his famous tale, The Footprint.
Here it is. Now, you see me, Buckles. Here's the Gulf of California.
Yeah.
And up here near the Barra de San Jorge, on the coast of Sonora, we find two bays divided by a high spit of sand with a granite pillar marking the bay to the north. It's a massive thing, that pillar. Easy to find. You can't miss it. Then there's 20 miles inland, due east from the pillar, and we find it.
Well, find what?
A Chinese pagoda.
A Chinese pagoda?
You
sure it isn't a Japanese wigwam?
Ah, now, boys, I know it sounds strange, but it's the truth I'm telling you.
How did you get this, Matt, Mr. Mortgage?
That from a Chinese, God rest his heathen soul. I did him a sort of a favor once.
You did him a sort of a favor, and he tells you where to find a fortune and rubies?
How come there's a Chinese pagoda full of rubies in Mexico?
If you know the facts, me Buckles, it wasn't the Spanish who first set foot in these shores. Huh? It was the Chinese.
Come on, you guys.
Thanks, Mr. Mortgage. We're sorry to take up your time.
Oh, no, wait a minute. It's a nice trip on a good, sound schooner. And if you like sailing, what have you got to lose?
And there was nothing to lose except the $200 a head he charged to outfit the schooner. That was cheap enough for a summer's cruise, and we all liked sailing. Well, we took it easy after we left San Francisco, heading around the Cape of Lower California, hitting La Paz, and then up and across to Guaymas, and on into the northern part of the Gulf. And after 2 weeks of searching for a pair of bays marked by a granite pillar, we finally anchored in a small inlet to look for fresh water. Yeah, the relief from constant sailing was good.
Come on. Draw a card, will you, Chris?
Jim, you're blitzed. You're a lousy card player.
Yeah, you're just lucky, Pinhead.
That makes 500, you owe me.
Yeah. I'll pay you when we find the rubies.
You deadbeat.
Chin up, lads. We'll find that pillar yet.
Ah, nuts, Mortgage. We've looked into 50 of these bays. Why don't you cut out the act?
What are you talking about, lad?
Just come right out and say it. You cooked up this whole deal as a meal ticket.
You can't see anything through those binoculars except what we've already seen 100 times.
There isn't a hunk of granite in 500 miles. You know it.
Well, to think the thought could enter your mind. Why, I'm as put out as any of you. But now's the time to persevere, and we'll find it.
Skip it.
Come on. Hey, wait a minute. Now, there's something for you.
What?
There's a boat heading into the bay.
We scrambled up to Margaret at the bow. Boats were rare this far up the Gulf. She was just rounding into the bay a quarter-mile off. She looked like one of the fishermen we'd seen down by Guaymas, but not quite.
Better one of you get the guns out of the locker. There's no use taking any chances.
I'll get it.
By the time Meth came back with the guns on deck, the stranger was close inshore. And as she came about, we saw him through the binoculars, seated on the open stern, holding a yellow umbrella to keep off the sun. A Chinese dressed in gleaming white. He was mountainous with fat, and his big, round, smiling face glistened with sweat. Another Chinese, stripped to the waist, came out of the big cabin, lowered a dinghy, and hopped in. The big Chinese swung his rolling fat over the rail. We watched the fat man being rowed into shore and continued watching as the dinghy skipped back to the boat which headed out to sea. Until it rounded the horn of the bay, the Chinese just stood there. Then he picked up his yellow umbrella, turned, and waddled across the beach, lumbered over a dune, and was gone.
Oh, what do you make of that?
I don't know, but now's the time to find out. Let's go ashore.
Look at that guy's footprints. He must weigh a ton.
You said it, man.
Come on, boys, this way. Up the dune.
Yeah, I can't run that fast in this stuff.
Hey, boys! Boys!
What's got into him?
Well, get up the dune and we'll find out. Come on.
Call me a liar. Call a map a phony, will you? Look.
What? What's the pillar? The granite pillar.
No wonder we couldn't find it. It's almost buried in the sand.
Will you look at the size of it?
The rubies, boys, we've as good as got them.
What about our fat friend? Looks like he has the same thing on his mind.
We follow him, me buckles. It's 4 with guns against the yellow umbrella. Come on, lad.
It all seemed real now. It wasn't a corny gag. Somewhere in that desert was a fortune in rubies. And apparently that Chinese was leading us to it. Ahead of us we could see the yellow umbrella bobbing in the distance. And for all his fat, he set us a murderous pace.
Why doesn't he stop? This is killing me.
He will, but we got to put closer to him. Save your breath.
But he didn't stop. He kept it up the rest of the day. And the sun was like a red-hot iron on our backs, and the heat waves danced off the desert like crazy devils. For a while, just before the sun set, the heat threw up a mirage, and the fat bulk of the Chinese seemed to waddle through the sky. And then it was dark, and we lost him. Until...
Hey, look. He's coming back.
What? The Chinese. Huh. I come back to say I go 20 miles without no stop. You like to come all the way, I say nothing. Only tell you all the way nasty sand. You go back. Wish you present halt and return journey.
We're not going back.
Very well. Only I experienced traveler and put up with no complaints. Present conversation and all good friends at end of journey. You.
He means you, Johnny. What? Me?
You got nice respectable face. Walk with me.
Okay.
My name, Santi. Very fine, rich Chinese merchant.
Well, where do you come from?
No matter. Where I go is important. Chanchan, very fine, holy place to end days in.
Holy place?
Oh, yes. You see, I am dedicated to high gods by parents when very little boy. They ask high gods I be given very fine, successful life. It is accomplished. Now must pay our promises of parents to high gods.
Well, you're very lucky.
Look. On 45th day of 45th year, I kneel before priests of high gods, pray before sacred rubies of Holy Grace Spirit, reflect on insignificance of life, and am soon strangled.
What? Strangled?
I give you honest word, being strangled at 45 is no joke. But cannot break promises of dead parents.
Well, maybe so, but
I arrange for you and friends to see ceremony. It is very dignified, interesting occurrence. Excuse me now. Please, I meditate.
He folded his hands inside his sleeves, dropped his chin on his chest, and drew ahead. We couldn't keep up with him, and 3 hours later we were still following the black holes the fat Chinese's feet had left behind. It was just an hour before dawn when we finally saw it. Chin, a large stone building with a few smaller ones tucked near it. How there could have been a lake in the middle of this impossible waste was beyond understanding, but there was, a small one, and we ran for it. It was the sweetest sight in the world. We sucked it up with our paws and mouths, lay in it, patted it, kissed it. Oh, it was beautiful.
Oh, I don't care if I ever see another French bathing suit again. Oh, you lovely warrior.
Where do you suppose they be head, huh?
What?
The rubies, me bucko, the rubies. How about that big building, huh?
Yeah.
Looks like some sort of a heathen temple.
It is temple.
What?
Temple of high gods.
Sancti.
Oh, look who's here again.
You better travelers than I expect. You look a bit, then go home. Priests say very unhealthy place for unbelievers.
How many priests?
10 priests. Not many, but enough. Why you come to Chenchang?
We heard about it through a friend.
Now you see, you go before sunrise.
I couldn't move another step.
Why you come here? Maybe to steal very high god rubies? You leave very high god's ruby box alone. You with respectable face, take friends away.
I can't, Sancti. We got to rest.
You wait till after interesting occurrence of strangulation, then you go.
For a man about to meet the high gods, you're pretty calm.
Oh, very miserable business. But parents make promise. What can do? It is time.
Well, me buckos, as the fat heathen says, it is time.
Yeah, this I gotta see.
Black as pitch. See anything?
No. Oh, wait. You hear it?
Easy.
It sounds like it's coming from somewhere in front. Hey, look at that up there ahead. You see? Looks like it's suspended in midair.
Holy, it's the rubies, me buckos.
Gold caskets studded with them. Look at them glow.
Where's the light coming from?
From that hole in the roof there. See? Sun's rising.
Hey, now look. It's a heathen idol. And it's got the ruby box held in one of its hands.
And in the other hand, a snake. A little gray enamel snake. Watch it. Somebody's coming. A row of green-robed priests, eyes closed in silent prayer, began filing into the circle of light. One of them stepped in front of the idol, held up a long gray cord as if for the idol to see. The circle of light widened, and we saw the kneeling form of Sancti. He wasn't smiling now. He looked sad and frightened. Hey, you don't think he's really going to get strangled? You got me. As if he'd been waiting for a signal, the priest stepped quickly in back of Sancti, looped the cord over his neck, and jerked.
Like that!
C6H4 add CH3 taken twice. No, that's not Pig Latin, and it's not a secret code either. It's the scientific description of xylene. Xylene is one of the highest antinought gasoline components ever discovered by science. But here's the big news. Every drop of Richfield gasoline you buy contains xylene. Richfield gasoline contains this super antinought component to take the knock out of hill climbing, to put a new wallop in your motor, to zip you out ahead in traffic, give you power to spare on the open road. And Richfield offers you 2 great gasolines to choose from, both with xylene. Get Richfield High Octane at regular price for the average motor, or Richfield Ethyl. Ethyl at its best for smooth, knockless performance in the highest compression motors. Get Richfield gasoline with xylene tomorrow. Stop where you see the Richfield Eagle on the cream and blue pumps. And now we return you to Escape.
You got the priest, a murdering hyena. Come on.
Come on. Hey, careful. Them other priests in here somewhere.
Sancti.
Is he all right?
No, his neck's broken. He's dead.
Skip the fact, Eden. One of you reach for the ruby casket. I'll get him.
Holy Moses, that must be worth a fortune.
Look out, Meth. The snake. The snake's not part of the idol. It's alive. The little gray snake struck at his hand like lightning. As Meth fell, it was already on the floor racing at Mogridge, who had grabbed their ruby casket. He smashed at it with his rifle butt, breaking the tail, and it slithered away under the idol. We looked at Meth. He was horrible, purple, like he'd been dead a week. We ran out into the desert.
Wait up, will you? Oh, I can't keep this up in me buckles. This thing is heavy. There.
Let's see that casket, Mortgage. Look at him, Johnny. We're rich, you know that? We're rich.
Doesn't it mean anything to you that Meth is dead? He's dead.
Yeah, sure it means something, Johnny. It means we only split it 3 ways.
Is that all you can think about?
What do you want to do? Send him his share?
Forget I said anything. Let's get out of here.
Now, lads, calm down. There's 20 miles of Devil's Playground between us and the schooner, and we got to start using our heads.
Well.
Yeah, settle down, Johnny. It's going to be a hot day.
The rubies flamed in the early sun. Crisp leered at them, and Mogridge's face had a look I'd never seen before. All they meant to me was meth and that sudden, horrible death. I don't remember it getting hot. It just was.
It jerks not to get that water out of the lake.
You feel like going back?
Not me. I got what I came after. Are we going the right way?
Yeah. Sun sets in the west. We'll be walking right into it.
How far we come?
I don't know. I don't know anything except that it's hot.
Here, Chris. It's your turn to carry the casket. Oh, it's a job lugging that thing.
All right. Here, Johnny.
No.
You take the rifle.
I'll take it for you, me bucko.
No, Johnny will carry it.
Why, of course, me fine boy.
Well, give it to me. Let's get going.
Well, at least this thing was split 3 ways already. Wouldn't be so heavy.
Seemed like the day was endless. The casket passed from Crisp to me and back to Mogridge. I got heavier each time. I didn't think of meth anymore. The sun burned all thought of him out of my brain. As it headed down for the horizon with maddening slowness.
How much longer is it going to hang there?
It's enough to drive a man crazy.
Hey, let's stop. I got to stop.
We can't stop. We'll never be able to get up.
I'm no fat Chinese. I can't walk 20 miles without a stop.
If only one of them late mirages was real.
Look, do you see it? Over there on the left.
Yeah. Looks like somebody walking in the sky just over them dunes.
Looks like one of them priests.
Don't you see what it means? We saw the same thing when we were following Sang-Ti.
I mean, one of them priests is following us?
Yes, it's the casket. He wants the casket.
Now, don't get all excited. Remember, we got the gun.
There's only one of the devils. Just let him show.
He knows we've got a gun. He won't show while there's still sunlight. He'll wait for the darkest time, just before the moon.
Well, what could he do?
I don't know what he could do, and I don't want to find out either.
Johnny's right. That's when he'd try.
Yeah. You know, I'm not as tired as I thought.
We best be moving along, me buckos.
Yeah.
There goes the sun.
We didn't run. We couldn't. Crisp was carrying the casket, and we had to stay together. All day we'd prayed for the sun to go down, and now that it had, we almost wished it was still there. The blackness was sudden and complete. We kept walking, waiting, ready for anything. But nothing happened. The dark hour passed and the moon rose.
We fooled him.
It seems that we did, me buckos. If he was there at all.
He was there, all right. Those priests let us get away too easy.
Look, you guys. Let's stop. I'm bushed. There's enough moonlight now to see anything.
We'll be making it to the schooner tomorrow, easy.
It's my turn with the rubies. I'll stand first watch.
Well, I guess it's safe. Moon's pretty bright.
Oh, my bones. My muscles.
We dropped where we stood. I think what woke me was the moonlight creeping under the brim of my hat. I felt cold. I sat up and saw Crisp was asleep. His hat had slipped down over his face, but his fingers were still wrapped tight around the casket. I looked across the desert and froze. Just for an instant, I saw a yellow face duck back behind a low dune. When I got to where I had seen it, there was nothing. Not even a mark in the sand. But I had seen a face. Margaret and Crisp were still dead asleep, only it seemed that Crisp's hat had slipped a little. And then it actually shifted, rose, and settled back. Crisp, are you awake?
What?
Don't move, Crisp. It's the snake.
Kill it! What's happened?
Crisp is dead. Look at it. It was under his hat all the time. It's the little gray snake with a broken tail. That Chinese is hunting us down.
Which way did it go?
There. You see the track?
You missed it?
Yes, I missed it. And it's coming back. It'll keep coming back until it gets us.
We gotta get to the schooner.
Leave the casket, Margaret. That's what they want. Hasn't it caused enough trouble?
It takes a bit of trouble to get rich, Johnny, me boy. And I don't mind it a bit. Johnny, me bucko. I gotta have one. Oh, help me, Johnny.
There isn't any. We've got to get to the schooner.
I know the signs, Johnny. There's water out here. Help me look.
Don't, Margaret. You'll drive yourself crazy.
Crazy, is it? Don't call me crazy. It's you. Look over there. It's bushes. Green bushes.
There's nothing, I tell you. It's just sand.
Now, don't lie, Johnny. Don't lie. I'll go fetch you a drop. It'll make you feel better. You watch after the rubies, and I'll fetch you.
No, come back, Margaret. We've got to go on.
Stay with the rubies, Johnny.
I watched him work his way over, stumbling in the sand. And then suddenly I saw it. There was something green. Margaret! Margaret, I see it! I see it too!
It's water! It's water!
No, Margaret! It's silk! Green silk! He wasn't crazy now, and neither was I. The green-robed priest rose up out of the desert, and in his hand he held the little gray snake. Margaret was running back. Then there was darkness in my eyes, and I was running desperately with something heavy clutched in my arms. We only stopped when it was broad daylight, and the sense of fear came to an end.
Is he following?
Oh, no.
That was a close one, the dirty heathen.
Margaret, do you feel it?
What?
The breeze. Oh, it's cool.
Sea breeze. It's the Gulf, me bucko. We've made it.
Look, I see it. The schooner.
There's a whole cask of water right in deck.
The tide's up. Let's get out of here. The two of us can handle the schooner, can't we?
Even one. I done it many times. Johnny. Step away from the rubies, Johnny.
What?
Johnny, lad, you see the gun. Now step away from the rubies.
Ogridge, you're kidding.
You don't think I'd cut you in on a fortune in rubies for $200, do you now?
Put down the gun.
I didn't plan on you getting this far. I needed the three of you to carry the box. But now the box is here aboard the schooner. So step back to the rail, Johnny.
Mogridge.
Step back, Johnny. That's a fine boy.
I realized everything now. Mogridge knew that Sang Ti would come. He knew where the bay was in the fallen pillar. It led us like sheep. I was going to die, too, in that desolate place. I felt the rail of the schooner against my legs.
But before you go, maybe you'd like one last look at the rubies, huh? I hold them up. Oh, ain't they beauties?
Then I saw it. The little gray snake slithering across the deck behind Mogridge. But he didn't see it.
Ain't they beauties, Johnny? Look at the colors. Red like blood and worth a fortune that won't be divided. Won't be divided at all.
And then the snake struck. I looked at Mogridge. His color began to change. It was horrible. Horrible.
Tumanay.
Huh? It was the priest standing on the deck beyond Mogridge. And in his hand was the little gray snake. He picked up the ruby box, slipped the snake inside as if it had been a rare string of pearls. And then he bowed and was gone over the schooner's rail. I saw his green robe bobbing into the desert, and the rubies flashing blood red in the sun.
You don't need a fortune teller to tell you this. From now on, you'll probably have to wait longer for a new car. So don't neglect the car you've got. See to it that all points have the protection they need to save wear and breakdown in hot summer weather. And to give you that needed protection, Richfield All Point Safety Service is made to order. Richfield All Point Service gives your car the sturdy protection of Rich Lube lithium lubricant, the premium lubricant that's better all ways. You'll get expert protection for your motor, chassis, transmission, differential, and wheel bearings. Lubrication that stands up under the toughest summer driving. If you have automatic transmission, you'll get top-rated Richfield automatic transmission fluid. And finally, as an extra precaution, you'll get a safety check on your battery, tires, spark plugs, and radiator. So tomorrow, stop where you see the Richfield Eagle on the cream and blue pups. Get Richfield All Point Safety Service. Escape is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald, and tonight has presented The Footprint by Governor Morris, adapted for radio by Richard Chandley. Featured in tonight's cast were Bill Conrad, Charles Davis, Luke Krugman, Tom Holland, and Ramsey Hill. Special music arranged and played by Ivan Ditmars. Next week.
You're creeping through the dark streets of Paris in the middle of the night. Ahead of you, the Gestapo is lying in wait, and relentlessly tracking you down from behind is a murderous madman from whom there is no escape.
Next week at this time, the Richfield Oil Corporation of New York invites you to escape with the most unusual story of fright and terror in occupied Paris, as Marcel Aimé tells it in his unforgettable story, Crossing Paris. Be listening. Goodbye, then, until this same time next week, when once again we offer you Escape. Tom Hanlon speaking over CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Want to get away from it all? We offer you Escape. Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure. It's time to escape with an exciting story of men and women whose dramatic lives will carry you beyond the horizons of the ordinary scene to a fascinating world of secret enterprise, strange experience, unforgettable adventure. The charmed world of Escape. Tonight, we escape with the most unusual story of suspense and terror in occupied Paris, as Marcel Aimé tells it in his unforgettable tale, Crossing Paris.
If you had been in Paris during the occupation by the Nazis, the filthy Boche, you would have seen a lot of interesting things. You might even have caught a glimpse of men stealing through the streets at night as inconspicuously as possible for a man carrying a heavily loaded valise in his hand. These valises were lined inside with canvas to prevent the leakage of any telltale drops of blood. And they belonged to my employer, Monsieur Janvier, in whose cellar the original butchering was accomplished. Quite often I worked with an assistant carrier, usually Le Tambo. One winter afternoon I set out to meet Le Tambo at the Café Voltaire on the Boulevard de la Bastille. The trees were bright with frost, and the day seemed dying of cold. It was nearly dark when I reached the Café Voltaire and went in. I went straight up to the bar.
What will it be? You look cold enough for a brandy.
I can drink brandy in any season. So can Le Tambo.
Yeah, this will warm your bones. Le Tambo was in. Said to tell you he wasn't free tonight.
Cassie, how can you behave like that? He has no respect for his work.
Respect for all work. Who is this, Le Tambo? Respect for all work.
Oh, peace, monsieur. I'm talking to the bartender. It's no affair of yours.
What did you affair it is?
He put his glass down and staggered up to me, fist raised. At the same moment, a huge man with a head like a ram slipped around from behind me, caught the bronze chin in his big hand, and pushed him backward with a powerful thrust.
I get it now. The police always travel in pairs.
We're not police, you idiot.
Yes, police written all over them. Well, then let's go, my lad. Pay for our drinks now, and we'll report to the station for duty. Pay off, and let's pay off, huh?
I don't know why, but I paid. And then, still laughing, the big one took me by the arm and we started
Come along.
He was a rough fellow, probably a laborer. Dressed as he was in a spotted shiny suit and a dark turtleneck sweater. The tight brown curls that made his huge head gave him the appearance of a great ram. When we reached the street, the night was already black with high, icy winds.
Well, that was a squalid scene.
The man was drunk, but I could have handled him. I carried a knife, you know. You didn't have to interfere.
Oh, I enjoyed it.
Well, in a way, you probably saved him from being cut up.
But
but I didn't realize you were going to cut him up. My apologies, monsieur.
You are a bloodthirsty brute. What do you do? What is your trade?
Oh, this and that. I manage.
Look here. You're a strong fellow, and if you're not afraid of a little risk, I can give you a job tonight as my assistant. It pays well, too.
How much?
400 francs?
You're on.
But you don't even want to know what it is?
You're an assassin.
Of course not. I'm a man of honor above all.
What difference does it make?
You're an odd type. All right, then, let's turn off here. First, we must go to the Rue Pollevo. Our work starts there.
Good, but let's walk faster. I'm cold.
It's me, Pierre. Where's the other one? Le Tombeau got out on me tonight, so I've asked my friend Grandjean here to take his place. But he's all right.
Hurry then. You're late.
We followed Monsieur Jean across the cellar to a big table with stained white cloth cover a shapeless form. He probably removed the shroud by moving a whole hog which had been cut into a dozen portions. Then he stood back and allowed us to feast our eyes. He's a beauty.
No?
How much does he weigh?
200 pounds. But divided into 4 valises? You manage him all right.
It's easy to see you've never carried 100 pounds of black market pig about Paris.
You're wasting time. Hand me a valise under the table.
Where let him go tonight?
To Montmartre. Butcher shop. In the Rue Goulencourt. Number 43. And one thing now. To arrange his deliveries, he must have the meat there by 2 a.m. If you are late, he will not accept it. But no distance for a young man like you. But how much are you giving us? Now, Pierre, a bargain is a bargain.
But not. That's a different matter.
You're perfectly well. I can't risk keeping the pig here, and it's too late to get anybody else to
carry 200 pounds of black market meat all the way across Paris in the dead of night with the police lying in wait for us at every turn along the way.
All right. You'll get 50 francs more.
I want respectable pay for my work. No, not just a tip.
500 then. But not a sou more.
It is hard work and it involves great risk. 600 francs.
Monsieur Jamblier, tell me, is this really number 45?
Why do you ask that?
For no reason at all, because I know the answer. Monsieur Jamblier, 45 Rue Pollevo.
Who is this man, Pierre? Danger, you will do me the courtesy of keeping your mouth shut. I do the talking here. Now, you agree then to 600 francs.
Monsieur Jamblier, 45 Rue Pollevo, my share will be 1,000 francs.
Are you mad? Don't pay any attention to him. He's my assistant, so you just give me 2 times 600 francs and I'll settle with him later.
All right, then here, take it. I can't have you here all night. Jamblier, 45 Rue Pollevo. Now my share will be 1,500 francs.
Jamblier stood as if frozen, his jaws clenched. The man was not even looking at him, but instead he walked nonchalantly around the cellar, examining the foodstuffs stored there. He spied a string of sausage hanging on the wall, jerked it off, stuffed it into the pocket of his jacket. Then he found a large paper sack and burst it with the end of his index finger. A stream of lentils ran out through the hole and onto the floor.
Monsieur Jamblier, 45 Rue Pollevo, give me 2,000 francs. Or shall I wreck this place?
Jamblier looked at him fearfully for a moment. Then he pulled a fat billfold from his pocket and handed 2 notes of 1,000 francs each to the man, who pocketed them calmly and caught a third one on the fly. I started toward Grandjean to make him tell you mine.
I can't afford a row here.
I don't want a row, but after all, he's my assistant.
This is my cellar. I paid out enough money to have peace here at least. You can settle with him later. Right now we've got to finish packing the valises. It's late.
All right, you're the boss. Come on, let's get it done.
I'd postpone this whole thing if I could.
We went back to the table and finished wrapping and fitting the sections of pork into the valises. Grandjean sat across the cellar on a wine barrel. eating a thick slice of ham he'd found. When we were packed, he got up, came over to pick up his two valises. This apparent willingness seemed to impress Jean-Louis, and when we reached the door, he stuck a pack of cigarettes into the lamb's pocket. That's the peculiar. For the cigarettes at night, a fine way to get ourselves picked up. Oh, come now, Pierre. Don't worry, sir.
I have to have 2,000 francs more.
Not a soul.
Give me 2,000 francs, for heaven's sake, Jean-Louis! 2,000 francs,
Stop it, you got the police on you. Blackmailer here. Take them and go. Shut up in the name of Mary. Shut up. Open the door. Let's get out of here. I'll settle with you later, my fine friend.
Jean-Louis, I now have to have another 2,000.
Quiet. I couldn't stop. Now, don't you dare pull anything like that again. What's the matter with you, anyway? Do you want to go to jail? I'm warning you now.
Stop chirping at me, or I'll pinch your head off and let you bleed.
Well, I don't want any trouble, but after all, I've given you a job. This is my work, and you should have some respect for it.
That's for your job. I've got it. Yes. Come on, little one. Let's get it over with, huh? Come on. Come on, I said.
It's the obligation of all of us to participate in the effort being expended to protect democracy. Our national security and the current United Nations police action in Korea demands that the size of our armed forces be increased. If you're between the ages of 17 and 34, support the United Nations police action by enlisting in the United States Army or Air Force. Men are vitally needed for important jobs in all departments of the Army and Air Force. Strength is needed in the Far East. To have strength requires manpower. Young men who are eligible for selective service have the vigor and imagination that are necessary for an effective Army and Air Force. Volunteer to serve your nation. Be a part of the Army and Air Force and take part on your own team of young men. See your local recruiting sergeant and volunteer to enlist today. Do it now. Yes, if you're between 13 to 34, enlist in the Army or Air Force now.
This Grandjean was a sinister character. He blackmailed Jean-Louis out of 5,000 francs and then threatened me with I don't quite know what. Still, there was nothing to do but follow him. It was too late to get anyone else to help me carry Jean-Louis' black market pin to Montmartre. Besides, when I start a job, I finish it. A frozen wind whistled down the Rue Pollevo, stiffening our fingers under the loose handles. We walked slowly with head down.
Where do we cross the river?
We'll have to go up to the Ile Saint-Louis. Too near the railway station down here. Too many police patrols and German soldiers around here.
Well, let's hurry then. My hands are turning to stone.
The oily water in the Seine was black as coal, and along the banks the bare trees stood bleak and spectral. Finally, we reached the Ile Saint-Louis, and with the cord turned into the first side street for a moment's respite from the paralyzing north wind.
It's a wonder that air doesn't freeze. Why in the name of heaven do you work at this job?
I make my living this way. Every man to his trade.
Well, it's not much fun. Plowing around in the night with valises full of lead, your face cracking with the cold, and all for the benefit of a thieving rascal like that Jean-Louis.
You made out all right with Jean-Louis.
You want some of it?
If it had been just between you and Jean-Louis, all right. But I'm the one that brought you there. In my work, I am strictly honest. Let us go.
Wait just a moment. Now tell me, how much can you get for pork in the black market?
Forget it.
75 francs a pound?
Forget it, I
I'm
say.
sure we could sell Jean-Louis' pig at 75 francs a pound. That would give us 30,000 francs. 15,000 apiece of easy money. So instead of killing ourselves in this...
Listen, stand absolutely still. Now.
Oh, fine. Very good. Thank you.
only have a cigarette. It's cold.
Oh, we can't smoke on.
But help to warm us a bit. That was close. Come on, let's get out of here. Follow me, hurry, or we'll never make it by 2 a.m. We walked along silently. The moon was still hidden, but the night had grown lighter and consequently more dangerous for us. After a block or two, I suddenly sensed the Grangeville was no longer behind me, and turning, I saw him halfway across the street, headed toward a line of blue light that framed the doorway of the cafe.
I'm going to get a shot of liquor!
Come back here, you fool! You can't tell that fucking laugh!
I won't be long!
He was already opening the door. Curse him! No telling what he was up to now. But in any event, I couldn't leave him there and jump in his poke. So I crossed the room, followed him inside. Several men who looked like clerks were playing cards at a table. The proprietor's wife sat knitting a sock behind the cash register, looking suspiciously at Grangeville, who was already standing at the bar, one foot resting on his valises.
Proprietor, give us some mulled wine.
This is my closing time.
Give us some mulled wine.
You're not running into my face with the police at your heels, are you?
Give us some mulled wine.
No, don't cause a row with me.
Mulled wine, proprietor, mulled wine.
You shut up, I tell you. If you quiet down, monsieur, I'll get it for you.
Oh. Thank you, madame.
The proprietor's wife went out through a low door at the back, and Grangeville turned and stared at the 4 clerks who had stopped their card game.
You! No lights. There are 4 of you sitting there. You're half-starved on rotten carrots and sawdust pudding. You're smoking corn silk, all of you. And there's enough good fat pork in these valises to make you rich. Well, what's to keep you from making off with it? You know well enough we're in no position to repose. Get out of here, you filthy paupers! Get out and howl against the black market! You rebel scum! What good does it do to make laws if they're not respected? You're brigands, anarchists, disloyal Frenchmen, all of you!
Oh, gee, have you lost your mind? Maybe you don't care what happens to you, but I do.
You don't say. You there, proprietor. Where did your lobster of a wife go? I can't wait all night. Get us some brandy. Get us some brandy, I said.
One, then. One, but please, no more. It's past closing time already.
Here's to you, little Pierre. You who are as timid as a girl, but whose charm I cannot resist. Your valises full of pork that these cowards refuse to take. I will carry as far as Le Havre on foot, on my knees, for you.
Here's your mulled wine, monsieur. Oh, but you have...
Give it to me, madame. Give me your pitcher of mulled wine,
She approached him with hesitation and placed the pitcher on the bar.
Thank you.
The man reached out, seized him with both hands, and heaved it with all his strength against the wall, where it clattered on the belly of a springboard. The unhappy couple dared not even turn their heads to ascertain the damage.
Excellent! Yes. And now my valises. Come, little Pierre. I wish never to see these wretched people again. Baboons, I ignore you. I erase you from my memory forever.
I followed it out, wondering how in the world I could keep this monstrous madman from getting us picked up by the police. The moon had come out now, and the center of the street looked like an arrow of brightness, while the shadows along the sidewalk offered dangerous possibilities of surprise. Grangeville threw away his cigarette as we approached the first street crossing. We had just reached the opposite curb when a man's voice rang out from the dark only 3 yards in front of us.
Stand where you are. No tricks now. What are you carrying in those valises?
Before taking that turn, you do well to identify yourself.
It's the police. You saw me well enough.
The police? Well, I'm certainly glad we ran into you. I've been looking for somebody to show us how to get to the Rue Sevigny.
You're going away from it. I think...
You didn't tell me. Did you hear that? The Rue Sevigny is behind us. Well, then we just have to turn back.
Later, perhaps. Right now, you're going with me to the station.
Oh, maybe rest a moment first. We walked a long way looking for the Rue Sevigny. Perhaps I can explain.
No need for that. Come along now.
I put my releaser down anyway, thinking it would give me a chance to talk him out of this. And the ram, bending his knees slightly, put his down also, and then suddenly straightened up, smashing his arm down on the floor with his heavy fist. The poor man doubled his knees and fell flat. D'Angelo bent over him for a moment, then grabbed his hat and threw it into the middle of the street. The visor shone there in the moonlight.
Well, let's go.
That was smart. As soon as he comes to, he'll grab his whistle. In 5 minutes, all the police in the arrondissement will be after us.
That would surprise me. I have his whistle in my pocket.
Oh, wait a minute. Now what will we do? We don't dare go into a shelter with this man.
I live only 2 blocks from here. Come on.
In spite of carrying 100 pounds apiece of that cursed thing, we ran all the way. But at last we burst and lunge. We waited. I stopped a moment inside the door to catch my breath before climbing to the top floor where he said he lived. The van went on ahead, and the door was open when I finally arrived.
Come in, come in. I'll have a fire going in the stove in a moment.
It was a large, comfortable studio. I set my releases down near the door and stood there until D'Angelo drew a blackout curtain over the window and turned on the light. There were several easels in the room, and on the table near the window was spread out a number of drawings and paintings.
Surprised?
You're a painter?
Yes, I'm a painter.
You did all those?
I sell most of them around Montmartre. But this is a German occupation, amusingly enough, not always for money. I barter. Only last week, for example, I sold a woman wearing nothing but high-heeled shoes and an opera hat. And do you know what I got? A ham. But here's one I've been commissioned for that will bring 100,000 francs. You like it?
No.
Because it's the portrait of a Nazi?
Perhaps. And because it's no good.
You're still angry with me, aren't you?
I don't know what to think of you.
Think what you like, then. I'm going to eat something.
The stove had commenced to glow, so I sat down in a big easy chair next to it and slowly came down and explaining once. And then the bell started ringing somewhere and woke me out of a sound sleep.
Rogina speaking. It's Sissy. I'm sorry I couldn't make it. No, Pierre Martin, What? No, you don't know him. Pierre Martin is a little gutter rat who works in the black market. Yes. He gave me a job, the poor idiot. Oh, I had great fun. Wore dirty clothes, played the role of the tough, a Satanist, a thief. Oh, it was very amusing, I assure you. What? Oh, no.
Slumming. He was slumming. Mocking me. Making fun of my work. Laughing to himself all the time. I'll show him.
Pierre, such gentle little one. Oh, now, don't be angry.
You stop. And I thought you were hard up. I wanted to help you. And you, just a gentleman, treating himself to a taste of what I suppose you call the underworld. Like a stinking tourist.
Is there a reward out for you, Pierre?
It's stealing, that's what it is. You should have left the work to a man who needed it. You have no honor. No respect for work. You're a filthy rat.
Oh, but I have. Come over here. Look, I drew a portrait of you while you slept. Perhaps you will like this picture.
I don't even want to look at it. What do you think I am? Me, I earn my keep. I work hard. You and your nothing. 100,000 franc commissions, you've done everything to make trouble for me. My work is amusing, eh? Well, I'll show you what I think of you.
Yeah, what are you up to?
Then across the room, the easel that held the portrait of the Nazi, put my knife into it as a cop, and went down. I was about to slash it across the middle of D'Angelo used Boris knife in the room. I reached the floor. I was throwing chopping my life over and stuck fingers. I began to beat the floor, and I threw my open hand. I struck the knife with one hand and finger. My eyes were turning back in my head as I flashed out of his wrist. And then I howled and sat back watching the blood drip from one hand.
Too late to move. Suddenly they're holding my knife over my chest, pointing it at him. Suddenly his eyes went white, the insane made, and before I could move, he threw himself on top of me again. My knife had been driven straight into his heart. His legs touched the wheel, and then he still. I looked at him. I didn't believe me. I never killed. I never wanted to kill anyone. I never liked. I had delivered all 4 releases to the butcher shop. In my mouth. All right, I've waited. All there. Of course it is. I'm a man of honor, monsieur. I can see that. You made it on time, too. But didn't you have an assistant? I understood from the same. It seems that my assistant, monsieur, didn't really need the work. I was forced to dismiss him. Well, anyway, you made it. Oh, yes, I always finish any job I start, monsieur. It was all then I remember that Danger had said my name to a girl over the phone, and that my portrait sat waiting for the police in the studio. I put the 5,000 francs which I had taken from his body into an envelope and addressed it to Jean-Pierre. I dropped it in my mailbox. He walked slowly down with a big market in his arm. It was almost dawn when I reached it. The heavily loaded pushcarts were stacked up in the side streets, smelling green vegetables and berries. The gutters were slippery with garbage, and lonely women in pink satin pumps were staggering wearily through the filth at the end of the all-night house. I sat down on the curb and watched her and said to myself, will none of us do what we wish to do? Do we live in?
The Army and Air Force is proud of its soldiers and airmen. Today's members of the armed forces have finer training, better equipment than ever before, and a strong, flexible defense of intelligent young men and women. We in America can maintain this effectiveness only by building strength and remaining strong. To have strength requires manpower, and men are vitally needed to support our forces in the Far East. You young men eligible for selective service make for the vigor, flexibility, and imagination that are necessary in an effective Army and Air Force. If you're of draft age and haven't yet received notice to report for pre-induction physical, volunteer to serve your nation now. Be a part of the Army and Air Force. Stop in at your nearest Army and Air Force recruiting station today and get the details. Volunteer your services now while you can still choose. Don't delay. Enlist today. Escape was produced and directed by Norman MacDonald, and tonight has presented Crossing Paris by Marcel Aimé. Adapted for radio by John Meston and starring Jay Novella with Bill Conrad. Featured in tonight's cast were Howard McNear, Barney Phillips, Edgar Barrier, Vivi Janis, and Paul Freed. Special music was arranged and played by Ivan Ditmars. Starting next Thursday night over most of these same stations, radio's outstanding theater of thrills, Suspense, will return to the air. As its first star, Suspense presents Mr. Pat O'Brien in a thrilling story entitled True Report. Remember, radio's prize-winning mystery program, Suspense, returns to the air next Thursday night. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Wheat Chex, Rice Chex, and Good Hot Ralston present Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol! In today's transcribed adventure, Buzz and Happy have gone to the offices of John Crozer to rescue a noted scientist abducted by Crozer.
I know Professor Hegman is somewhere in this building, Crozer. Take us to him.
Why, Commander, you're mistaken.
Oh, no, we're not. Don't sit there under that sun lamp. Take me to Hegman.
Well, all right, Corey, if you insist.
My eyes, turn off that lamp.
Get him, Happy.
I can't see.
Here's yours, cadet. Now, Corey, I am going to finish you off permanently.
We'll be back in just a moment with today's Space Patrol story, The Brain Bank and the Space Binoculars.
Wow! Man, oh man, oh man! Yummy!
That boy sounds excited, doesn't he? Well, no wonder. He's just had his first taste of Rice Chex, the delicious bite-sized super cereal.
Wow! Man, oh man, oh man! Yummy!
Same boy, yep, and the same cereal, only it's his second bowl. Try Rice Chex yourself, gang. You'll love it.
I'll say. And when you eat a good breakfast with Rice Chex, you're supercharged.
Absolutely. So, gang, try it today. Delicious Rice Chex. And, hey, today's the day for the biggest news ever announced on Space Patrol. So stand by, and I mean with pencil and paper, for the most sensational message you ever heard on Space Patrol. Not far from Space Patrol headquarters on the man-made planet Terra is the Crozer Building. From his spacious offices on the top floor, John Crozer directs his far-reaching enterprises. It is Crozer's proud boast that his payroll list is virtually a scientific hall of fame, an interplanetary who's who of distinguished men and women in every field of science and technology. His rugged features and penetrating eyes are reflected on the polished surface of his mammoth Endurium desk as he confers with his director of plant operations, Erla Becker, and the noted physicist, Professor David Hegman.
Miss Becker, is there anything else on the agenda which concerns Professor Hegman?
Yes, you wanted me to remind you to congratulate the professor.
Oh, yes, the Kleinhurst Medal. I understand you're to receive it at a banquet this evening.
That's right, Mr. Crozer.
Congratulations. You're upholding the Crozer tradition.
The Crozer tradition?
Of course. For the past 3 years, every winner of the Kleinhurst Medal for Scientific Achievement has been associated with Crozer Enterprises.
Oh, I understand that the medal is given for work, which I did before I joined your organization.
Well, I speak in jest, more or less. Well, that completes our conference, Professor.
I have something to tell you, Mr. Crozer.
Yes?
I am forced, with regret, of course, to submit my resignation.
Your resignation? I don't understand, Professor.
Well, it's my doctor's orders. He says my health won't permit me to continue my work for your company.
But you're under contract. You're absolutely necessary to this project.
I am very sorry. But my doctor tells me that unless I retire, I may not last for more than a few months.
This puts my company in an awkward position, Professor. I won't tolerate it.
I regret this as much as you do, Mr. Crozer. But I don't see what I can do about it.
See here, Hegman. It'll take us 3 years to complete construction and install equipment. Your contributions are useful now in our present stage, but they'll be absolutely essential in 3 years from now.
Oh, Mr. Crozer, no one individual is absolutely indispensable. There are other scientists in my field.
Hegman, I hired you because you're the only man alive today who can see this particular phase through to a successful conclusion. This whole operation is geared around you. You can't resign.
Well, my doctor tells me that I have no choice. Surely you don't expect me to endanger my life?
I'm going to have a talk with that doctor of yours.
I'm afraid it won't do you any good, Mr. Crozer. 2 other doctors have confirmed his diagnosis.
Very well. We shall see. Our interview is ended, Hegman. I have other matters to discuss with Miss Becker now.
Goodbye, Mr. Crozer.
Goodbye, Professor.
The nerve of that man. Trying to walk out on me, John Crozer.
I understand how you feel, but as the professor says, it can't be helped.
I'll hold him to his contract. He's got to keep working for me. That project must be finished as I planned.
You can't force him to disobey his doctor's orders, contract or no contract.
Look here, Miss Becker. You're director of plant operations. It's up to you to find a way out of this.
Well, let's face facts. Hegman's brain will be of most value to us 3 years from now. But he's got to retire immediately, so he's out of the picture.
If there were only someone else with his knowledge.
There is one possibility, but it's not legal.
Well, let's hear it.
Suppose Professor Hegman were to be put in suspended animation for 3 years. Then, when he's revived, his health will be exactly as it is now. He'll be able to do a few months of work when he's most needed. Of course, Hegman wouldn't consent to it.
Well, that's immaterial to me. We'll do it by force. That's an admirable idea, Miss Becker. We'll literally be establishing a brain bank. We'll put Hegman's brain on ice till we're ready to use it.
There's only one catch. How are we going to explain his disappearance?
Leave that to me. You locate some suspended animation equipment and get it here. When we get it set up, we'll bring Hegman to my office for one more conference.
Well, nobody seems to know where the professor is, Commander. I've even checked with his doctor.
I've just phoned Crozer. He hasn't seen him either.
Well, maybe the professor forgot about his appointment with you. He could be out with friends celebrating. After all, he's just received the Kleinhurst Medal.
I doubt that he'd forget the appointment, Happy. He seemed very anxious to talk to me. You knew, didn't you, that the professor has to retire?
No. Why, sir?
His doctor warned him that he can't keep up the pace. Oh, by the way, there's something I've been wanting to show you. Yeah. Have a look at this new Space Patrol equipment.
Binoculars?
Yes. Not just ordinary binoculars, Happy. They're space binoculars.
Can I try them out, sir?
Sure, they're yours.
Gee, they've got a band on them so you don't have to hold on to them. Yeah, the band fastens them around your head.
Right, it leaves your hands free. Now take a look over the city with them, Happy. I'll take the polarization off the windows.
Wow, these are great, sir. Why, I can even read a small sign on the space terminal building. A sign I can't even see without the binoculars.
Wait till you get out in space, out of the atmosphere of Terra, then you'll really see something.
You mean they're even better out in space?
They're so sensitive, they'll pick up very small objects many miles away. They're designed especially for pilots on search missions. Within a planet's atmosphere, they're good 4-power binoculars.
Wow. Hey, look, there's some people walking 5 blocks away, and it looks as though I could almost reach right out and touch them. Hey, from what you say, Commander, I'd sure like to take a look through them out in space.
Mr. Crozer, this is the most outrageous thing I have ever heard. I refuse to let you do it.
Professor, I'm afraid there's nothing you can do about it.
Don't you know that even if I gave you my consent, it is still illegal for private persons to use the suspended animation process? Now, if you'll unlock the door, Crozer, I'll leave.
Hegman, my friend, you're not leaving. Miss Becker, we might as well get started with the process. Give him the preliminary injection.
All right, Mr. Crozer.
Get away from me.
Hegman, get away from that window.
I wouldn't advise jumping out, Professor. It's a long way to the street.
Yes, and it wouldn't be suspended animation. It would be terminated animation. Go on, Miss Becker. Give him the electronic injection.
Get away from me.
There. I've got my hand over his mouth. Quickly, Miss Becker.
Oh, hold him still.
Quit struggling, Hegman, or you'll really get hurt.
There.
How long does it take for the electronic injection to knock him out?
A few seconds.
Good.
He's losing consciousness.
All right, Miss Becker. Let's carry him into the suspended animation chamber and finish the process.
Commander, look. I can see the lettering on the windows of the Crozer building. These binoculars are fantastic, even in the atmosphere.
Take a look at Terra Park, Happy. You can probably see the ants from the rose bushes.
Yeah, they aren't that good. But I can see people inside the Crozer building. Look, sir. On the top floor, there's a man standing in the window. I can see him just as plain. Here, sir, try him.
All right, I'll take just one look, but then I think we'd better get to work.
Yes, sir. It's the 4th window from the corner of the building, see?
Yeah, it is clear. Well, that's Professor Hegman.
Huh?
At least I think it is. Oh, he's gone now. Wonder why Crozer didn't have the professor call me. I suppose Hegman's busy closing up his work with Crozer.
Yeah, I think he'd at least phone you.
I'll tell you what, Happy. I've got an errand to make right near the Crozer building. Let's drop in and see the professor on the way over.
I checked the suspended animation equipment. Everything's working fine, Mr. Crozer.
How long does it take?
Another hour and we'll be through.
Oh, good.
You aren't going to keep him here in the building, are you?
No, in a day or so we'll take him to Mars.
We'll have to take the equipment there, too. We have to give him booster treatments every 3 months. Say, haven't you been under that helio lamp long enough?
Oh, I've got it on low setting. You ought to try it, Miss Becker. It's really very relaxing.
Not as relaxing as that treatment we're giving Hegman.
Yes. You'll be relaxed for 3 years.
Speaking of Hegman, did you see him throw anything out of the window when you were struggling with him?
I know. Did you?
Well, he made a sort of throwing motion with his hand. I think I better go down the street and check.
Yeah, that's right. He certainly didn't have time to scribble any note. But let's not take any chance. Come in.
Hello, Mr. Crozer.
Commander Corey. Nice to see you.
Thank you. This is Cadet Happy.
How do you do, Cadet?
How do you do, sir?
Sit down, gentlemen. I hope you don't mind if I go on with this lamp treatment. I'm acquiring a tan for myself.
I see you are.
Unfortunately, I don't have the opportunity to get it the natural way as you space patrolmen do.
That's quite a high-powered lamp.
Yes, it can be if it's turned up. I have to know how to handle it.
The reason I came over, Mr. Crozer, is to see Professor Hegman.
The professor isn't here. Remember, I told you I'd ask him to call you if he showed up.
We saw him standing by the window of this office just a few minutes ago.
You saw him in the window?
Happy and I were testing some new Space Patrol binoculars. We thought we saw Hegman.
Hegman? You must be mistaken. Oh, I know. One of my attorneys was here a while ago. He's about the same height and build as Hegman. Yes, come to think of it, there is a resemblance. Funny, I never thought about it before.
Well, apparently we made a mistake, Mr. Crozer. Sorry to have bothered you.
No bother at all. No bother at all.
The old fool threw this out of the window. I didn't know there was anyone in here.
We were just leaving, but I've changed my mind. May I see what you have there?
Oh, it's nothing at all.
No, Commander. Just a little promotion gimmick one of our companies is putting out.
May I see it?
Yes, of course.
The Kleinhurst medal, a promotion gimmick?
Kleinhurst medal?
There's only one man who would have that medal on his person at this time. That would be Professor Hegman.
What are you getting at?
This young lady just said it was thrown out of the window. Well, why would anyone throw a valuable award like this out of a window unless they wanted to attract attention? Give it to me straight, Crozer. Where is Professor Hegman?
You're jumping to conclusions, aren't you, Commander?
That was Hegman we saw. If you're not trying to hide something, why are you and this woman so evasive? Why did you lie about the medal? You've got Hegman somewhere in this building.
I suppose you won't be satisfied until you search the place.
That's right.
All right, then. Come on. I'll just turn this lamp on full power and right in your eyes.
Turn it off! My eyes. Get him, Happy.
I can't see.
No, but I can. Grab that bookend, Miss Becker. Nice work, Miss Becker. And now, Cadet. That'll hold them for a while.
It was a smart trick, Mr. Crozer, shining that helio sun lamp in their eyes.
I had to do something after that faux pas you pulled.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know they were here.
I've got to move fast. Arrange for a spaceship. We'll get Hegman aboard.
What about these two?
We'll lock them in the next room till we get Hegman out of here. Then I'll come back and finish our Space Patrol friends for good.
We'll be back with Space Patrol in just a moment.
Oh, come on, Captain Tufeld. Tell me what Buzz Corey's big new surprise is for all his kids. Won't you, huh?
No, I can't tell you.
Please?
Nope, it's a secret until the end of today's program.
Is it something the commander himself uses?
Oh, you bet it is. It's official Space Patrol equipment.
Can't you really tell me what it is?
Nope, it's a secret.
Well, then, how about a little hint?
Well, I'll tell you this. It's something absolutely new and different.
Oh, man, I just can't wait.
Well, you hurry now, get a pencil and paper ready, and keep listening, because in just a few moments, I'll tell you what the big surprise is and how you can get it. And all you boys and girls listening in, you do the same thing. Get pencil and paper ready, and be all set to take down the information you need to get that wonderful new surprise Buzz Corey has for you. So long for now. See you at the end of today's program, when I'll tell you all about the biggest, the swellest, the most exciting value ever offered on Space Patrol. John Crozer and his assistant, Erla Becker, have placed Professor Hegman in suspended animation, intending to revive him 3 years later to finish vital scientific work on a vast project Crozer is managing. When Commander Corey and Cadet Happy decided to search the building for the professor, Crozer blinded them with a beam from a high-powered helio sun lamp and then knocked out the virtually defenseless space patrolman. Buzz and Happy have just regained consciousness and their vision and find themselves locked in a room.
It's no use, Happy. You can't break down that door.
We must be in the Crozer building, judging by the view from the window.
Yeah, on the top floor.
And Crozer's probably miles away by now with the professor.
I doubt it. He wouldn't go away without being sure we'd never be able to report him. He'll be back.
And then I've got a feeling we'd better get out of here before he returns.
Let's take a look out the window.
Say, maybe we can attract the attention of somebody in another building. Oh, it's locked, too.
Yeah. Hey, there's a ledge out there. If we break the window, we could crawl on the ledge to another window.
And that's not my idea of a pleasant stroll, 50 stories up.
It's not mine either, but it's a lot safer than what Crozer has in mind for us. Yeah, this chair ought to do the trick. Turn your head, Happy. Watch out for the glass.
You want me to go first, sir?
Wait till I knock these sharp splinters loose. Hey, let's go. I'll boost you up.
I can make it now, sir. Wow, what a long way down to the street.
Don't look down, Happy. Lie flat on the ledge and crawl.
Yes, sir.
I hope we can find another open window along here.
I wish this ledge was wider. I feel like a tightrope walker.
Oh, easy, Happy.
Oh, my knee slipped off. For a minute, I thought I was a goner.
Don't try to hurry.
Commander, we're in luck.
Is that window unlocked?
Yes, sir, and it's partway open. All I have to do is push it.
Easy now. Don't push yourself off the ledge. Anybody inside?
I don't see anybody. Well, here goes. Nobody in here, sir.
Watch the door.
How are you going to do away with Corey and the cadet?
You unlock the door. Swing it open. I'll blast them with this gun before they have a chance to rush us. Open the door and be sure and stand back.
Don't worry.
All right, Corey. We'll... Gone.
Gone?
This room's empty. Look at the window.
Well, they couldn't have climbed down the side of the building.
They certainly wouldn't jump. The ledge. They used the ledge. By now they've probably given an alarm. This whole building will be swarming with space patrolmen soon.
Well, what'll we do?
We've got to get out of here. We'll have to forget about the equipment. We've got to get to the spaceport and blast off right away. Hurry, Orla. We haven't a second to spare.
Take it easy, Happy. All right. Open the door.
Well, there's nobody in here either. Just some equipment of some kind.
Some men's clothing, coat and a hat.
What kind of equipment is this, sir?
Suspended animation equipment.
Oh, that's what they use in criminal rehabilitation centers to help cure criminal tendencies.
Yes, but how did Crozer get hold of it? And what for?
I thought it was against the law for private individuals to have these.
Well, that wouldn't stop Crozer. Why would he want this equipment? Why would he want to put under... Professor.
What?
That must be it. With the professor in suspended animation, he'd be easier to conceal.
Well, sure, but what good would the professor be if he was unconscious?
Crozer could revive him whenever he needed him, even months or years from now.
I wonder what Crozer did with him.
He'd try to get him off Terra. Let's go to the spaceport, Happy. Happy, I've just checked with the space control dispatcher. There was a slip-up. Crozer blasted off.
Didn't they try to stop him?
The order to hold him wasn't relayed to the dispatcher in time.
How long ago did Crozer blast off?
About 15 minutes ago. But I've got a description of his ship. Come on, Hap, let's get aboard Terra 5. We're going after them.
That was luck. I was afraid they'd stop us at the spaceport.
Look in the viewscope. There's a ship following us.
The space patrol.
Yeah, we are in a spot. We can't outrun that ship.
No, but we can get rid of the professor. Corey doesn't find Hegman on the ship. He can't prove anything against us.
Well, what do you intend to do? Just shove the chamber out into space?
Chances are the professor will never be found. Come on, we've got to get rid of Hegman, and then we'll take our evasive action. Corey won't stand a chance of locating that box with Hegman in it.
We're gaining on them, sir. All that crazy flying Crozer's doing isn't getting him anywhere.
He's trying to delay the inevitable as long as possible. Maybe I can talk some sense into him. Turn on the spacephone, Happy.
Yes, sir.
Commander Corey aboard Terra 5 calling John Crozer in private cruiser T431. Commander Corey calling John Crozer.
This is Crozer. Go ahead, Corey. Go ahead.
This hide-and-seek isn't getting you anywhere. It's just a matter of minutes. Play it smart and give up.
You talked me into it, Corey. But at least I gave you a run for your money. What do you want me to do?
We'll pull alongside and join airlocks.
All right, Corey.
Just a warning, Crozer. Don't try anything. Corey out.
They've joined airlocks with us.
All right. Have you got the electronic injection?
Yes, it's right here.
Yeah, they won't suspect anything from you. Watch your chance and use it on Corey. I'll jump the cadet. He won't be in your way. And then when they're unconscious, they can join Professor Hegman out there in space. All right, Earl. Here they are. Careful, don't make any slips.
All right, Crozer. Get your hands up.
Of course, Commander.
Searching for weapons, Happy.
Yes, sir.
Where's Professor Hegman?
Professor Hegman? Why, we haven't the slightest idea.
Come on, quit stalling. What did you do with him?
We haven't got him. Search the ship if you don't believe me.
That's just what we will do.
He doesn't have any weapons on him, sir.
All right, keep your gun on him, Happy, while I search the ship.
All right, lady. Get over there next to Crozer.
My name is Erla Vecker, and I'll be glad to. Oh, excuse me. Commander?
Oh, no, you don't. What have you got there?
Let go of me.
In your hand. Come on, Erla. That's it. Well, electronic injector.
I'll take that gun, Cadet.
Oh, no, you don't.
All right, Crozer.
Hey, nice one, Commander.
Don't try anything like that again, Crozer. And no tricks from you either, Erla.
It's lucky you saw her with that electronic injector, sir. You should have had us in deep freeze.
That was a very foolish move on your part, Erla. Now you're in this just as deep as Crozer. Now, let's have it. Where's Hegman?
All right, I'll tell you, but you'll never find him. He's somewhere out in space.
What? You threw him out of the ship?
That's right. All sealed up in a nice cozy box. Chances are he'll float forever in space in suspended animation.
Have to get these two into our ship. We'll cut loose and start a search. They're going to stay right with us till we find them.
Nothing, sir. That blip turned out to be a small meteor.
You're just wasting your time, Corey. That box with Hegman in it is just a speck in space. Your view scopes won't show it unless you happen to be very close.
We'll just keep looking.
I've got the view scope on full sensitivity and wide scanning, sir.
I'm afraid the view scope isn't much help. Well, here. Let's try these.
The space binoculars.
It's a long chance, but it might work. Scan in a slow arc, Happy.
There's something. Oh, no, it's just another meteor.
Let me have a look. Hey, wait a minute. It's a rectangular shape. Check it, Happy, about 10 degrees high.
I see it, sir. Yeah, it's a box, all right. That's it, we found it.
Change vector, Hap. Let's hope we're not too late. There it is, Happy.
Yeah, I can see it now through the view scope, even without the binoculars.
Stand by to fire forward braking rockets.
Standing by, sir.
Fire rockets. Yeah, that'll stop us, Happy. All right, get the spacesuits. We'll pull the box into the ship. And Crozer, we'll just lock you and Erla in a compartment till we get the professor aboard.
Why don't you sit down and relax, Crozer? You'll wear out the commander's carpet.
Why don't we hear from the hospital?
Yeah, you're pretty worried now, aren't you, Crozer? You know, if Professor Hegman doesn't come out of that deep freeze, it's going to go mighty hard on you and Erla.
Well, they should know by now.
Oh, for Saturn's sake. Sit down and stop that pacing.
Oh, here's the commander.
Crozer, look who's with him.
Professor Hegman.
That's right. It's certainly lucky for you two that the professor pulled through that treatment.
Yes. And, Mr. Crozer, it will give me a great deal of pleasure to testify against you.
And helped me with more of his work than the doctor first thought.
Well, in that case, we actually did you a service, Professor. Commander, that should be taken into account.
Don't think you're going to get off easy on that account.
It's just luck, and the fact that we had these space binoculars that saved the professor.
Yes, Happy. I had no idea that the binoculars would actually help us save a life.
You sure were right about their being terrifically powerful out in space. And they're great in a normal atmosphere, too.
I'm not going to lose any time in issuing them to all Space Patrol personnel.
Sir, did you know that when you look through the binoculars the wrong way, you can see into the future?
Oh, I was under the impression that they just smallify. But if you say so.
Oh, that's ridiculous. It just makes objects look far away.
Uh-huh. And far away, I see a criminal rehabilitation center with two people in it. John Crozer and Erla Vecker. And they're getting the same kind of treatment they gave Professor Hegman, suspended animation. You want to have a look?
In just a moment, we'll give you an exciting preview of next week's thrill-packed Space Patrol adventure. But first, gang, oh boy, first of all, here's that big, wonderful surprise we promised you. Get your pencil and paper, get all set to go. This is the greatest value we've ever offered on Space Patrol. Commander Corey, you tell the gang what this terrific new item is.
Boys and girls, our surprise for you is a pair of those wonderful new Space Patrol space binoculars. Binoculars like the ones I used today when I spied the professor floating in that box way, way off in the distance, remember?
Gang, you'll be able to see way, way off in the distance with the Space Patrol binoculars you get, too. Yes, sir, these binoculars are 4-power binoculars with 4 lenses. And when you look through them, they make people, houses, buildings, cars, everything else blocks and blocks away look bigger and nearer and clearer. No adjusting necessary. The lenses are fixed focus lenses. Why, you don't even have to hold these wonderful binoculars up to your eyes. You wear them like official outer space headgear. They have a strong elastic band on them, and when you slip it over your head, it holds the binoculars in place and leaves your hands absolutely free. Makes you look like a man from Mars, because these binoculars stand out from your eyes a full 3.5 inches.
That's right. These are not flimsy little celluloid goggles or a mask. These are real, full-size binoculars. Overall, they're 5 inches wide, 5 inches long, and they're made of solid plastic. Beautiful, long-lasting black solid plastic with bright red leather-like trimming that makes them look terrific.
Now, don't forget, you can see way off in the distance with them. You can spot your dad coming home from work, spot the mailman coming blocks away. You can watch birds in high trees, study animals, identify people in the distance, read signs way, way off, and see airplanes way up in the sky.
And when you look through the other end of your space binoculars, they do a switcheroo. They make close-up things look like they're far away from you.
Yes, sir, gang, these powerful Space Patrol space binoculars are the greatest value we've ever offered on Space Patrol. To get a pair, do this. Buy a box of Instant Ralston. Then, with your name and address, send 25 cents in coin and an Instant Ralston box top to Space Patrol, Box 686, St. Louis, Missouri. This offer good only in continental USA and may be withdrawn at any time.
If you don't agree that yours are absolutely tops, return them. We'll return your money.
That address again is Space Patrol, Box 686, St. Louis, Missouri. Buzz and Happy are approaching a building where the Secretary General's daughter Carol is held captive. Suddenly, they become aware of a tingling, painful sensation and a ringing in their ears.
It's getting hard to walk. I feel like I had a big weight on me.
I can hardly move either, Happy. Nora must be using some kind of ray on us.
A paralyzer ray?
I think it may be worse than that. They're undoubtedly in an ultrasonic beam. Get back to the ship. Get out of range quickly.
I can't. I can't make it.
Happy, get up. You've got to get up. Here, I'll help you.
I can't even crawl. My head, there's 1,000 needles in it.
If we don't get out of this beam, it'll tear us to pieces.
Be sure to be with us next Saturday for the exciting story, The Sleepwalker, when wheat checks, rice checks, and good hot Ralston again bring you Space Patrol! Space Patrol, an original Mike Moser production starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston and directed by Larry Robertson. Other players were Virginia Hewitt, Ken Mayer, David Duval, and Bela Kovach. Dick Tufeld speaking. Now, don't forget to tune in next Saturday and every Saturday when Wheat Checks, Rice Checks, and Good Hot Ralston again present the new, exciting Space Patrol! And be sure to see another exciting Space Patrol story on your local ABC television station. Consult your local paper for time and channel. Space Patrol comes to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is ABC Radio Network.